How you guys doing today? As you can tell, I went and got myself a beautiful haircut today. Wonderful lady that took care of me. Been wanting to get this haircut for months and months and months, and finally a friend of mine just like talked me into it and just said, just go get it, just go do it. And so I did. And here we are. Well, let's kick things off. We're streaming today, we're streaming today. I hope you're doing fine. There's so many streams for us to see, and this one here is mine. I hope that you're happy, I hope that you're well. Now come on and join me, watch the world go to hell, because we're streaming away, we're streaming today. Let's stream today. Hey Misty, how you doing? Thank you so much. I love the new do too. Nothing ups your mood more than going to get a haircut, I gotta tell you. I always tell people, if you're feeling bad about yourself, you're feeling down, you're feeling blue, you feel like you need to change, go get your haircut. You're gonna feel a lot better about it. Even if it's a simple haircut, even if it's a simple kind of a thing. And hey, why not take a chance? Why not take a risk? Why not do something fun with it? Because it's just hair. It comes back. It comes back. Well, until it doesn't, of course. But that's life, isn't it? All right. I actually feel like I'm completely lucky on this front because both my brother and my father were bald at around the age of 20. Like big balding going on. So I feel like I'm almost 40 and I haven't quite got there. So I'll take the win. Oh, beautiful, beautiful shot here. I don't even know where this is, but here in Ontario, apparently there's a place that looks like this. Isn't that lovely? Okay. Well, what do you think, Misty? Currently growing out both sides shaved. Had fun while it lasted? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's always good times. Here we go. I think it's just you and me right now, Misty, unless somebody else pops in. Let's see what the number is. I'm going to say 5. I said 5 yesterday, but I'm saying 5 again.
Here we go for today's number.
Here we go.
It's September 15, 2021. 10 balls.
Are you in on this, Misty? Come on, you
Each ball has a number.
4? So you're 4, I'm 5. Hey, Mark, how you doing, bud?
1 through 10. Swirl
the numbers. You're just going to straight up pick 4 until you get it. Yeah, that's a strategy.
A number.
I'm worried that a 5 will never come up.
Today's number
Here we go.
is
2. We're all losers. Blah, 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 blah. Hold on. 7 plus 5 is 12. Divided by 4 is 3. Doesn't work. No, we're all losers today. No. So, another day where in terms of just like raw news, not much going on. I do have a really, really excellent piece along the way here, but let's start with the very simple statement. Seat projection, nothing's moving, nothing's going anywhere. People, I think, have finally settled in, right? That all of the polls are showing that while the undecided voter category is steadily shrinking, they're all just diffusing pretty evenly across the way. No one's gonna, like, surge up and snag the majority, right? I think we had that little moment where we were all like, I'm gonna vote conservative, and then we took a look at the conservatives and thought, no, thank you. So the only questions that are left are, will Maxime Bernier actually snag his seat? And how many seats is everybody going to end up with, right? So I think it's pretty safe to say at this stage we are ending up with another minority. And I got to tell you, most Canadians, I think, are pretty happy with it. I think most Canadians are looking at it and they're walking away from this election being like, this was a pointless election that shouldn't have happened in the first place. It was a gambit by the Liberals in order to snag their majority, and they didn't achieve it. And people swung towards the Conservatives briefly in sort of a fit of rage, but then it settled back down to essentially the same numbers. Like what's happening here? The Liberals are losing 5 to 8 seats. The Conservatives are going to gain 5 to 8 seats, and the NDP are gaining 5 to 8 seats. So it's just literally, it's kind of a wash, right? It's kind of a wash. So this whole election was just for naught. And we'll see how it all goes on. No, I'm not going to laugh at you for being determined to vote. Everybody should be determined to vote. I missed the mail-in because I didn't have my ID ready, so I'm going down to the polls with a camping chair to sit online after my surgery. Oh my God. Misty. That's dedication. That's dedication, right? What a message for all of us. If somebody who just went and got a surgery can go vote, you can certainly go vote, right? So it's what this means for us as Canadians is that the next year is going to be very, very telling, right? That a big reason why the Liberals want their majority in the first place is so that they can do a whole bunch of stuff without needing to ask permission, right? That right now they're having to negotiate with other parties and other people to try and get some of their legislation passed through. But they aren't, they don't want to do that anymore. Why? Because from the Liberal perspective, there's hard decisions to make, right? And hard decisions like how much cutting should we do, right? How much burden should we put on the populace? How do we get away with putting more of a burden on the populace? And I think the populace just sees through them. I think that large segments of the populace, with the exception of Liberal supporters directly, near as I can tell, Liberal supporters think that they're that the Liberal Party and the Liberals are the bee's knees, right? That if you are in the Liberal Party, if you are of the Liberal Party, you're thinking things are going hunky-dory, right? That you're just bumping along, you're not very upset, you're not very angry, incrementalism is going to save the day, that kind of thing. You genuinely believe this is the case. And then the rest of the world is just that's dumb, right? That's dumb. Your stupid incrementalism is not, you can't negotiate with the sun. You're not going to negotiate with the fucking sun. So, we are, I don't know, it just seems like Canadians are stuck. I've been saying this for a little while now. Canadians seem to be stuck, and they just seem to be rooted in what it is they're doing. And they're stuck within this dynamic of neoliberal capital, right? And again, I have to say it, would things be different if Jagmeet Singh was just a white dude, right? If Jagmeet Singh was just a white dude from Timmins or something, would Canadians be stuck, right? So, you've heard me whinge on that for a long time. Now this right here, this is some meat and potato stuff. Trigger warning, mistreatment at Rikers. I've read through this, and I'm going to be straight up. The trigger warning is well earned. This is a tough read, but I think it's important that everybody understands exactly how fractured the American system of government has become. That we are talking about major systemic level failures within important institutions, right? So we all know Rikers Island, right? Rikers Island is a well-known prison that exists off the coast of New York, right? Rikers Island. So it's literally, here's Manhattan, here's Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Rikers Island. You can get to this place by boat. It is a prison, a correctional facility, and here is a lady who just went into that facility, and this is what she discovered. I want to share more about what I witnessed at Rikers Island yesterday. This is Emily Gallagher. We broke into groups to inspect different parts of the sprawling facility. I spent several hours at the Otis Bantam Correctional Center. I just returned from Rikers Island, where a group of elected officials exercised our legal right to inspect correctional facilities. What I witnessed was a humanitarian crisis, a horror house of abuse and neglect. I'll share more soon, but for now my message is simple: decarcerate. OBCC is where people are taken to be processed and wait for a hearing. People are supposed to be in and out within 24 hours. I met people who had been there for 3 months. No contact with family, overcrowded, no air conditioning. There's garbage everywhere. Rotting food with maggots, cockroaches, worms in the showers, human feces and piss. Most of the toilets are broken, so men are given plastic bags to relieve themselves in. I was told by many people being held there that they're given a single meal a day, and even that has to be demanded and begged for. Everyone was thirsty and had limited access to water. Most of the people I met were not at Rikers for serious allegations. One got into a fist fight at a barbecue. Many had accidentally made a small technical violation of their parole. They were confident these charges would be dismissed once they had a hearing, but the hearing date passed, and no one came to get them for it. There's a lot of serious mental illness, and many hadn't been given their prescription medication for months. I met multiple men with broken hands and legs that were not being treated. The ratio of guards to incarcerated people is something like 7-3. The officers hate the conditions too, and are doing sick outs or just won't show up at all. The people who do report to work end up having to work 18 to 24-hour shifts. Because of the lack of security, everyone's scared they're going to be injured or killed. Most people have fashioned some kind of homemade weapon to defend themselves. The prisoners, who have not actually been convicted of any crime, mind you, get maced regularly for talking too much, for congregating, for anything, really. Men were calling out phone numbers to me, saying things like, "Please call my grandma and tell her where I am," or would burst into tears and say, "I've been praying you would come. Save us. We are going to die." While one man was begging me to hug him through bars and weeping around the corner, another man yelled to my colleague, "Miss, look at me," and turned to see a man jump into a noose he made out of a sheet. I am totally overwhelmed by what I saw. Today I'm calling grandmas, moms, girlfriends, and wives of these men to tell them what's going on. One of the officers told me, at this point we are on the prisoners' side. We are all forgotten. We live here too, triple shift by triple shift. Here's what we can do. Number 1, pressure DAs to stop asking for cash bail and consigning people who haven't been convicted to this horror house. Number 2, the New York City mayor must use his power to release people rapidly. Number 3, Governor Katie Hochul should immediately sign the less is more legislation. This is capturing this isn't even capturing the image of it. This is just a testimony of someone capturing finally what I have been calling this all along, which is the whole-scale abandonment of the American people by their institutions. That there is no such thing as an institution that is working in the interests of the American people operating in America any longer. That the reason why these conditions exist is because someone's making money about it. That you make money arresting people and putting them into cells. You make money getting people incarcerated. You make money through this kind of a system. You don't make money rehabilitating people. You don't make money getting people help, right? You don't make money finding out that, oops, this is a small clerical error and all of this. They're literally taking these people, shoving them into an island prison for no reason whatsoever, and literally abandoning them there. Literally abandoning them there. And it's happening 100% sure as shooting because someone's making some money about it. But privatization's the greatest system, eh? That's how you organize stuff properly, right? You privatize the whole prison model and the efficiencies, right? The efficiencies. And yeah, exactly, Drew. The gulags, though, right? Oh, well, the communist gulags, they were the fucking worst, right? I almost guarantee that these conditions that Emily Gallagher is talking to us about never once existed in the gulags. That if you actually go and find something out about the Soviet gulags, it didn't fucking look like this. It wasn't just grabbing people and fucking abandoning them out in the middle of fucking nowhere, where they have to literally form up little gangs and have shivs and piss into bags and shit. What the fuck is wrong with American society? This is the rot at the core of American society, right? Such that the American society exists. Because once again, I find myself saying, America is not a society, it's just a business. It's just a business with a PR team. And people like Emily Gallagher going into Rikers and coming out with stories like this reveal to the core how fractured and broken and disgraceful and demonic the American system has become. We should not only not seek to resemble this, we should do everything we can to reject it and move away from it as swiftly as we possibly can. This is what capitalism looks like. This is what they want. This is what they are seeking to create for the rest of us. And if you think otherwise, then you're just in the state of denial. That the first stage of grief is denial. And it's time to get through it. It's time to stop denying. This is America. Bumble Guppy, I've always known that prisons are about making money, but I just realized that recidivism is intentional to perpetuate this system. My God. Yeah. Yeah. It wants to perpetuate itself forever, right? And the system can't perpetuate itself if there's no prisoners, right? What happens to the American prison system if suddenly people stop committing crimes, right? If people just stopped committing crimes, well, they would just begin picking up innocent people because the system is more important than the people. And what do you think? That's what they do. You can go and listen to Chris Hedges. Chris Hedges goes and speaks and teaches in prisons. And he says explicitly that there are innocent black men in those prisons. That there are black men in those prisons who were picked up because they were black. And because the system demands sacrifice. And nobody is willing to fight for these black men. That they just get picked up, they get thrown into the prison system and abandoned there because that's how the system works. And it makes money for the people it's supposed to make money for. Right? I am not being hyperbolic when I say that the American system of neoliberal capitalism is evil. I have said that over and over and over again, and I get people push back at me and say, oh, it's a bit hyperbolic, don't you think, John? No. It is an evil system that is designed to lie to everyone, deceive everyone, while exploiting and abusing everyone to the maximum ability that it can get away with. Right? And as long as we tolerate it, it will continue pushing us until finally we're just back in slavery, which incidentally, hate to break it to all of you, that's exactly where we are. If you're getting paid a wage, you're a wage slave. It's a wage slave system. And the goal ultimately is Rikers Island, where we've all been completely abandoned, where we're surrounded by filth and piss, and we're scared and we're terrified of each other, where we're crafting our own weapons. We don't know who to believe. We don't know where to go. We don't have connection to our friends and family. That's the plan. That's the plan for us. It's not incidental. It's not how just things happened. It's not, oops, this is what went on. This is what the wealthy have planned for all of us. Each and every single one of us is to be isolated, alone, working a job we hate just for a bare, meager subsistence. As the systems around us actively collapse and actively degrade so that these wealthy people don't need to pay to upkeep any of it. It's the goal that when Emily Gallagher comes up and says this to us, she is revealing the end game for each and every one of us. And if we bullshit ourselves about it, then we're going to experience it. I would rather not. That if these wealthy psychopaths are willing to do this to these people, they're certainly willing to do it to us. They're certainly willing to do it to us. And it's time for us to grow up and realize that that's the case and take to the streets. Come out on Saturday, September 18th, 2 p.m. Come protest Yonge and Dundas Square. This is the goal for us. This is the end game for us. This is what they mean when they say the Great Reset. Time for us to grow up and get over it. That's right, Major Hydraulic. It's all very evil. And evil is the word. Like, I don't know what else to call it anymore. Is there anything else we can call it? We're completely faced into the death impulse. That there is the impulse to create, right? Which is deeply rooted in the self, right? The pursuit of sex and sexual gratification and the creative force of creating a child and creating something and then extending that into the world and continuing to create and grow and produce, right? That is deeply ingrained inside of us as people. But there's also another force, and it's the death impulse. And the death impulse is also deeply ingrained inside of us. And if we don't accept that death and life are this intertwined thing, then, and if we cede power to the narcissists and the psychopaths, then they don't care about creating or growing or building anything for anyone. And in fact, their big complaint is that, oh, I die? Well, then I'm going to take everything with me, right? Because I don't care what happens after I die. And in fact, I'm so psychopathic and narcissistic that the world is completely worthless without me in it. So it might as well be destroyed as I step out into the great unknown, right? That this is the force that's driving our civilization. We are a suicidal nation plunging towards our own self-destruction and death. And stories that, like what Emily Gallagher has brought forward, absolutely reveal that to be the case. We're not interested in building something. We're not interested in sustaining anything. We're not interested in life, right? We are ghouls and vampires and demons who are hell-bent on the full-scale destruction of not only our own civilization, but the planet itself, because that's the punishment for us dying in the first place. Like, it's demonic. It's completely demonic. And what's so funny is that it would be so easy to defeat, right? It would be easy to defeat. Everybody get out on the streets and surround the halls of power. Pick a day, right? Find that protest movement. Get out into the streets. If 100,000 people surrounded the White House, these conversations would come to an end. The whinging would stop. The dumb bullshit about how, like, what whoever the holdup in the Democratic guy is, the Mike idiot, whatever his name is, right? These guys would shut the fuck up. They would stop talking, right? If the halls of power were surrounded, this would be over, and it would be over very quickly. Like, if the ports stopped, if the halls of power were surrounded, if the construction workers went on strike, like, and it literally comes down to just stop participating in this. Because what are you participating in? Like, what are you being productive about? This is the great thing when these guys say, go get a job. Like, that to me is not much different than the Nazis saying, go get a job. Like, no, not interested in working for Nazis. Not interested in perpetuating Nazism, thanks. Right? Go get a job helping Nazis? No, thank you. Like, no, thanks. And that's where we are. Like, these people are worse than the Nazis. Like, in big, high-scale ways, they're worse than the Nazis. Like, even the Nazis weren't attempting to destroy all human life. Right? And what we should do about it, without a doubt, is stop participating. Stop participating. Like, I'm not going to go work some stupid fucking job that's destroying the planet for $7.25 an hour. I'm not going to go fucking do that. While my friends get arrested and thrown into these fucking prisons that are just littered with bullshit. Like, no. Like, no. And it's astounding to me that here in Canada, it's astounding to me that people are still voting Liberal and still voting Conservative. Because all that shit's coming our way. Like, all that shit's coming our way. That the ideology of the capitalist death cult has already infected Canada, and both the Liberals and the Conservatives are chomping at the bit to be the one to inflict it to the maximum amount on the populace. That's what this fight is actually about. These guys want to be the ones to bend the knee to neoliberal capital. That's what it's about. That if Aaron O'Toole gets to be the one to bend the knee to neoliberal capital, then the neoliberals will reward him. But if Justin Trudeau is the one that bends the knee to neoliberal capitalism, then they'll reward him. So it literally is a conversation about which one of these two fucking traitorous assholes are going to get rewarded by the neoliberal death cult. That's literally what this election was. And the Canadian populace stood up and said, well, neither, right? That's essentially where we're at. No thanks. Minority government, please. No thanks. Neoliberal capitalism is a failure. It should be expunged from our ranks completely. That people who are standing up attempting to defend neoliberal capitalists should be called totally delusional at best. Yeah, do you want your news to be colored red or blue? Exactly, mocked. Bumbleguppy, that's where I ended up after Bernie. The system is evil. It's all about power only. Better people than me came to this conclusion a long time ago. Yeah, and we need to get to this conclusion faster. Like, faster than this. That, like, we can't negotiate with this. Like, we cannot negotiate with the forces of evil, right? Like, you can't negotiate with Beelzebub. You can't negotiate with Mephisto, Diablo. Like, you can't negotiate with these types of demons, right? They exist to spread malice and suffering. And any compromise you make with such demonic forces are only going to be done along terms that will ultimately undercut you, right? That was our big mistake with FDR. We should have never, ever capitulated. We should have never, ever allowed ourselves to stop that if a man like FDR is standing up saying my greatest achievement was saving capitalism, that means the movement was a failure. Capitalism itself must be killed. It must be killed, because all you gain if you allow yourself to negotiate with these psychopaths, all you gain is a momentary reprieve before they overwhelm us once again and threaten extinction again. Right? The capitalists themselves must go. That the system itself must go. That nobody should ever have the type of wealth and power that these capitalists have. No one ever should have this much power. And in my view, if somebody stands up and says that someone should have all of the power, that should be enough for us to banish them. Straight up. It should be considered despicable to say that one person has $1 billion. What's wrong with you? There's something fundamentally wrong with a person who's standing around saying that one person should have $1 billion. It's a fundamental evil that has infected our society and has infected us in deep scale ways, to the point where there are big questions about whether or not we can actually recover, right? We may not recover from this desperately evil decision that we've made to empower the most psychopathic people in our society. Like, we simply may not recover. That when we start to fight back, they'll just roll out the tanks, right? Like, what's the game then? What's the strategy then? Like, it is completely possible that we will surround the halls of power with hundreds of thousands of people, where we will get the public momentum, and they'll just open fire on us. That's completely possible. That's completely within the realm of possibility. What then? Right? What then? But we have to keep fighting it. We have to keep fighting it. Like, I'm not going down without a fight. Fameda Islam, good to see you. Don't think I've seen you in here before. They can't kill all of us. They need us to work, or at least that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, and let's not forget, if you go and you read your Bible, right? You go and you read your good books, right? Your the public displays of open torture, right? That we know that America commits acts of massive torture already, but they do it behind closed doors. They'll do it in the open. They'll do it in the middle of Times Square, right? That the story of Christ being crucified is the story of the Roman Empire. That is what they would do to people. Like, the public executions and the public torture is coming for America, for sure. And it's going to be an act of terrorism to terrorize the populace. I'm getting increasingly apathetic, to be honest. I know now is not the time for apathy, but I understand it. It's overwhelming, isn't it? It's overwhelming. It's just this incredibly overwhelming, like, what do we even do? What can be even done? There's this enormous force that's in front of us that is well organized and well structured, while we're just a rabble, right? We're just a rabble for the most part. And we're not even a rabble that's on the streets. We're literally a rabble that's speaking to each other through, like, these digital platforms and all this kind of stuff. We haven't even gotten to the point where we're in the pubs yet. We haven't even gotten to the point where we're making the theater yet. We're not even in the point where we're making the songs yet. We're not doing anything yet. Like, we're barely in the streets, right? We're barely in the streets about it. So there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of organizing to be done. And in the face of all that, I can definitely see why someone would say, like, oh, fucking what's even the point of it? And ultimately, it does come down to just, like, look, do you want to die on your back, or do you want to die on your feet? That's all. You want to die on your knees, or do you want to die on your feet? I choose feet. They'll kill us all with climate change. Yeah, and this is how you know that they're absolutely detached and completely sociopathic. Is that not only will they kill us all with climate change, they'll kill themselves. That they don't even care about their own children, right? These guys don't even care about their own children. Like, this is something that when I say it, people just let it slide by, and I know that they let it slide by. Because it's a massive accusation, and I will stand by it completely. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Dave Thompson, the wealthiest men in North America, do not give one fuck about their own children. That the entire thing is about them, and if they are going to die, then the rest of us are going to die too. That's the conversation that we're having, and no one is willing to rise up and challenge me on this because they know that I'm right. Because if I was a wealthy billionaire who actually cared about my child and someone came and said, hey, the entire ecosystem is going to fucking go on fire and your own children are going to suffer for it, I'd be like, fuck, how many billions do I need to spend to resolve this? But instead of doing that, men like Jeff Bezos are shooting themselves into space, right? Richard Branson's just shooting himself into space. Like, Bill Gates is buying up all the fucking farmland like it matters, right? These guys do not give a fuck about their own children. At best, they care about their own legacy. At best. All said and done, might as well establish... Well, I keep asking, like, it's going to burn down anyway. So let's get to it, right? If it's going to burn down anyway, then we might as well burn it down before it happens and get ahead of it. Maybe actually erect something to actually do some good work. Yeah, Fairy Creek is happening as we speak. Not everyone is inactive. Exactly. Fairy Creek is a big moment. That's a big, big moment. Basically automation. They won't need workers. The left is on a timeline, even if we survive climate change. Yeah. Only the non-colonized people aren't doing not much right now. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So liberals, right? Liberals and conservatives, right? And that's manifesting itself in our politics pretty clearly. The problem with automation is how to make robot consumers. Yeah, that's a good point, Bumbleguppy. You can create as much automation as you want if nobody can afford anything, right? Then the system fails. Yeah, automation under capitalism is certain annihilation, yeah. They would rather just buy a bunker. And you know what, man? I've said this over and over on this channel. I hope some of those guys end up in those bunkers. I can't imagine a better punishment for these guys. Oh, so you're telling me that you're going to lock yourself and like a handful of other people in a fucking bunker, right? So how long do you think it's going to be until they kill you or you kill them? And then how long do you think it's going to be until you go mad? Because you got to remember, like, these guys are sociopaths. Like, these guys clearly have no connection to their internal self. They've never been confronted by the quantum energy that lives within all of us and speaks from us, right? And they're going to lock themselves in a bunker, have a little war amongst themselves, and then go crazy. Yeah, seems suitable. Seems suitable. The idea that these guys are buying bunkers and building bunkers tells you how childish they are. Tells you how stupid and moronic they are, right? Yeah, I remember that. It reminds me of that Cloverfield movie with John Goodman. Yeah, great movie, great movie. And like they literally haven't thought this through for a moment. And if they have thought it through, it's in this incredibly detached, incredibly out of touch with even themselves manner, right? Where they genuinely believe they will go into this bunker and that will be a suitable life for them. They'll go insane. I can't think of a better punishment. I can't, and I hope that while the madness is creeping into their brains, it dawns on them that the money they spent building this bunker, they could have spent to fight climate change and actually built a future for themselves and their family instead of this idiotic, moronic, childish, stupid bullshit. Like, it's so fucking dumb. It's so fucking dumb. Like, please, I hope they end up in the bunker. I hope they end up in the bunker. Yeah, of course. As soon as you think about it for 5 seconds, go in a bunker. Like, for real. Like, go into a bunker for an hour. Just, like, lock yourself in your room for an hour. And, like, really contemplate the idea. Fuck that. Forget about your room. Lock yourself in your apartment. How long, and really dwell on the idea that you can't leave the apartment. The apartment is it. This is it. This is life now. Here you are. How long do you think until you go insane? That's a good point too, Nova Scotia. Right? They're insane already. Like, Jeff Bezos is saying dumb fuck shit like we're going to solve climate change by taking all the polluting industries and putting them in space. Like, think about that for 30 seconds and you realize, like, the process of doing it would destroy the planet. Like, it's insane. There's still a tiny sliver of time we have left to save the planet, but nope, let's build bunkers. Yeah, exactly. To their kids. Well, the invisible hand of the market will restore the ecosystem. Yeah, exactly. Some doomsday bunkers even have guns in them. Not a great idea. Yeah. Like that. In the end, those guns exist for themselves. That's what that is. That there's a childish voice inside of them that's like, well, gotta have a gun in case there are space mutants, right? Oh, the mutants. We'll have to deal with the underground bunker mutants. But we all know what those guns are for. Those guns are for them, right? Those guns are for them so that when they finally realize that the madness is taking them over, they'll shoot themselves. That's what it's for. And they know it. Like, they know it. Like, why else would you bring a gun down there? Jeff Bezos has no humanity. Yeah, I don't think he ever developed empathy. Well, and Islam, we know that, like, we've done studies on this, right? Of what wealth accumulation does to a person. And we know that wealth accumulation makes a person less compassionate and less empathetic. That's the science. Every time we've done the studies, every time we've experimented with this idea of what are the effects of wealth accumulation, the answer is always less empathy and less compassion. So these people are literally incapable of empathy and compassion because they have so much wealth, which is why I say again and again, we've got to eliminate the billionaire class. That this whole tax the rich riff that you're seeing going around right now is accurate. Like, we should not allow a single billionaire to exist at all, period, systemically. Like, I actually think that 10 million is too much. Like, so many of the problems that we're facing are not, like, actually systemic issues. It's that we have a fucking billionaire walking around. And if you've got a billionaire walking around, it doesn't matter what your system looks like. You've just literally got, like, a supervillain going around who can fuck everything up because he wants to, because he has $1 billion. Get rid of him. Get rid of them. Just don't let them exist at all. Yeah, I understand what you mean by this, Islam. It's very performative, right? Like that, oh, tax the rich. We'll take 0.1% of their wealth away and turn around and let you have dental care for for necessary procedures or all this kind of stuff. Yeah, base liberalism, right? No, I mean, like, I'm basically saying, like, forget tax the rich, seize the means of production. Like, these guys need to go away. That they should not be part of the conversation whatsoever. That literally, like, the CEOs and the owners of ExxonMobil, Amazon, all these guys, we should be talking about arresting them and sending them to The Hague, where they should go on trial for crimes against humanity and then hung. That's what we should be talking about. This idea of, like, tax the rich as if that's going to actually resolve the problem, right? It's not going to fucking resolve the problem. That's at best a placation. That we need to actually extract the parasite from the society and banish the parasite or throw it in the fire, right? And we need to structurally and systemically ensure that this can never happen again. Again, this was the big mistake of the New Deal. The big mistake of the New Deal is that they let the parasite live. Nope. This next time around, nope. We're not going to let the parasite live. The parasite must die. It must die. Or else in 50, 60 years, our children are going to be dealing with the same bullshit, right? And all it's going to take is these capitalists gaining enough weapons and enough wealth that they'll be successful in their obvious goal of destroying the planet. Like, does anyone disagree with this? That the capitalists, like, it's pretty obvious that they're attempting to destroy this place, right? That's the goal, right? Like, pretty clear at this stage in the game. So we can't let them keep getting away with it. Like, we can't. The zombie comic I made had a guy who shot himself from a bunker madness. Yeah, it's real. That's the final ultimate conclusion to capitalism. Profit, monopoly, colonization, ecocide, bunker, bang. Yeah. Which means we obliterate the bourgeoisie. There is no other way. We must take the means of production back. Well, we never really had them. We literally don't have any more time. Yeah, like, we're out of time. Like, we because of our naivety and our youth, we genuinely believed people like Obama or Trudeau when they stood up and said that they would give a crap about this stuff, and they clearly didn't, right? They clearly didn't. Like, that and it's time for us to, like, put our big boy pants on and be like, hey, these guys are fucking lying to us. Like, I'm to the point now where if I find out somebody voted liberal or conservative, I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't need to listen to a word you have to say any longer. Like, yeah, it's so without credibility. Like, the whole system has no credibility. Yeah, I understand what you mean, Islam. I understand what you mean. Like it's about generational wealth, and, like, why are we allowing the wealth of previous generations to be accrued in the hands of a small group of obvious sociopaths, right? Like, it's just so madness. So madness. And of course, right, as this is going on, far-right and white nationalist groups urge followers to support Maxime Bernier's People's Party of Canada. Big fucking surprise, right? This is, what were the groups' name? Canada First and the Canada Nationalist Front. Both explicitly white supremacist groups. What do I think about accelerationism? I think that accelerationism has, like, I understand why people say it. Like, might as well just set the fire. It'll set the thing of revolution and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, I think it's actually quite naive, right? Like, the idea that giving power to white supremacists and just, like, tipping it over so that, oh, that'll raise the whole kind of thing. That's actually not what's going to happen, right? That will accelerate, all right, but it'll be an acceleration to our own destruction. Like, we have to stop. We have to stop. We have to stop. Like, there's no other option. There isn't a thing we can do. There's no technology that we make. There's no kind of that stuff. You know what, man? I got to tell you, like, you seem like a really cool guy, right? I'm going to tell you right now, don't bring Vosh into this place. I don't respect Vosh at all. 0%. Like, less than 0%. The guy's a pedophile. He's an imperialist. I don't really pay any attention to him. It's odd to me that he's gaining the prominence now that he's getting, given that he is a pedophile. Not really that interested. Tomfoolery, how you doing, bud? What is with the media jumping over the PPC lately? I just watched the local London station cover Jugmeat in London for 30 seconds. They spent an entire segment on Bernier. I think it's finally because the mainstream media is keying into the fact that there is a white supremacist movement here in Canada that is really ramping up. Right, and it is really ramping up. Like, you don't need to look too far, right? I could just show you the polls, right? Very clear ramp up, very clear. Like, this is where they were before, and then suddenly ramped right up around here, right? And I think it's really, really got the mainstream media finally being like, oh shit, like, Canada First and the Canada Nationalist Front are explicit white supremacist organizations who defend and bemoan, like the trial of Derek Chauvin, They bemoaned the fact that he was prosecuted and charged of a crime after he executed George Floyd in the streets. Like, they don't have any seats at the moment. But, like, they're polling right now. Like, right now they are polling as well as the Bloc does, right? Right? 6.8 for the Bloc Québécois, 6.1 for the PPC. And again, this is an explicitly white supremacist group where even the mainstream media, which usually defends white supremacist groups through omission, right? Where it's just omit that these groups exist whatsoever, even though, like, Aaron O'Toole's literally walking around saying Canada First, which is the name of this white supremacist organization, right? And and so finally it's starting to pick up enough steam where it could get a seat in the House. And I think even the mainstream is getting skittish about it, because they know there's going to be a moment where the political system is going to have to either confront white supremacy or bend the knee to white supremacy. And historically, liberals and conservatives bend the knee. Historically, that's the truth, right? So it's scary. It's scary to see an explicitly white supremacist movement come up here in Canada. It's scary to think, like, okay, well, if suddenly the PPC had 20 seats, well, and we're in a minority government situation, do you think the Liberals or the Conservatives would work with them? Someone said the Bloc is leftist. I think the Bloc is self-interested. I don't think they're leftist, per se, but, I mean, Blanchet in the debates said that we should have social housing, right? That's a traditionally sort of leftist idea, right, coming out of his mouth. But I don't think they have, like, a set... They're their own thing, right? Like, they're pro-separatist. They call Quebec a nation within a nation, right? So it's difficult to peg them politically because they are basically exclusively self-interested, which some lame place like Moose Mountain or Chatham-Kent will end up electing a PPC candidate. Yeah. No, that's exactly what's going to happen. Man, evil sure is boring. It's just the same thing repackaged year after year, yeah? Canada is a nation built on colonization. This isn't surprising, yeah? Well, and the thing that's scariest, if you ask me, about the PPC isn't in fact their white supremacy. That isn't actually the scariest thing about them. It's the fact that they deny the existence of systems, right? That's the scariest thing about the PPC. That when you listen to them talk, they're actually very effective in their argumentation. They're actually very charismatic. And they are actually correct insofar as their analysis of the society has convinced them that something has gone desperately wrong, right? Because something has gone desperately wrong, right? Something has gone desperately wrong in our society, for sure. It's called neoliberal capitalism. That's what's gone desperately wrong in our society. And but they don't have an actual critique of the society. They aren't literate. They haven't read anything. They don't know anything. Their solutions are things like get a job, which is literally saying, oh, these globalist elites, they're taking over the place, so the solution is to get a job working for the globalist elites, right? Like, they're incoherent in their ideology and their observation of the society. And the most terrifying aspect of their incoherent ideology is that they deny the existence of systems in the first place. That we are all just individuals making individual decisions with one another. That is what they say. That's terrifying, right? Because there are obviously systems. There are obviously systems that are in place, right? That systems like systemic racism 100% exist. Systems like the corporate takeover of the state definitely exist, right? That the systems that exist, even like stuff like the education system, even stuff like the healthcare system, right? Like, if you deny the existence of systems in the first place, then when you're given control of one of them, you will just fuck it up. You're just going to fuck it up, right? Even if you're not walking around being like, and then we'll privatize it and I'll make a whole lot of money like a grifter, just by the fact that you deny that this is a system, you will just fuck it up, right? And it's terrifying to think that that an organization like this would seize control of power, right? Because they can't help but fuck up. That if you are legitimately trying to tell me that there is no systems, then you're going to fuck everything up, right? Just naturally. And you're gonna, and of course you're gonna fuck it up for whose benefit? Your own, right? For sure. So these PPC candidates are gonna get in power, and they're just going to destroy everything and make a lot of money for themselves, right? That's what's going to happen. And then on top of that, there's gonna be a nice layer cake of outright overt white supremacy. Like, it's very, very scary. It's very, very scary. That, like, this is like a wildfire that can take over. And it's coming, if you ask me, from the fact that the NDP and the Green Party are refusing to do what must be done, which is to galvanize the anger of the populace. I've been saying this for about a decade now. The people are angry. The people are angry, right? 70% of PPC voters say that they are very angry, right? Compare that with the national average of 40%. 40% of Canadians say that they are very angry, right? Incidentally, only 1% of Liberal voters say that they're very angry. So there's your disconnect, right? Liberals are walking around being like, oh, everything's just fine. Incrementalism will do. Yeah, everything's fine. La, 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 la. Meanwhile, literally everybody else in the society are fucking angry. Fucking angry, right? Fucking angry. And both the Greens and the NDP need to be galvanizing that anger and getting it into their ranks. And they seem incapable. They seem unable to even acknowledge that it exists in the first place. So this to me is like, the PPC exists because of the critical failure of both the NDP and the Greens. And the Greens themselves are not Zionists, even if Annamie Paul is. But Annamie Paul is already talking about stepping down, right? Annamie Paul says she's considered stepping down as Green Party leader. She's already done. Like, she's already done. If you're talking about it, you're done. Like, you're getting prepared for it, right? And it is going to come down to, like, quit or get fired, right? And the coalition that exists within the Green Party under Dimitri Lascaris as socialists is exactly what the Canada needs right now. Canada needs a Green Party that is a socialist party with a leader that understands that we have to be galvanizing the anger of the people, right? We've got to be galvanizing the anger of the people. And I've been telling it to Dimitri Lascaris. I talk to him, and sometimes he does talk back to me. And anytime he releases anything, and it's this soft piano music, right? This soft piano music with this, like, calm voice being like, Canada's in a crisis. Climate change has to face down the verb noun of the feelings thoughts. Don't worry about the urgency that we are not ourselves moving to war. Right? Like, no. The Green Party is the party that needs to be pounding the drums. The Green Party is the environmental party, and they need to be pounding drums. That literally every single time you hear the Green Party, it needs to be like, literally like war drums with orcs and shit. Being like, right? We need a party that's actually marching us to war. Because at this stage, to face the climate change issue, it's going to be a war effort. It's going to be a war effort. That's what it's going to take at this stage in the game. We're so stupid. We're so lazy. We're so fucking apathetic at dragging our heels on this shit that we have waited until we literally have to go to war about it. It's so fucking stupid. We're such a stupid people. And hopefully the Greens actually get their act together and put somebody in there who's willing to say the word socialism, but who's also willing to pound the drum on this. Let's keep a cap on that kind of talk, Islam. That's how this channel gets banned. That's how this channel gets shut down, right? I understand your energy, but we should be saying let's get the land back through negotiation. And I mean, we can have those conversations on the street, bud. Capitalism can't save us is the problem capitalism creates, exactly. They're too busy currying favor with business, exactly. 3D printing will become revolutionary technology for the proletariat. Interesting. Expand on that, Islam. Expand on that. Yeah, they've swung even further to green capitalism. Yeah, exactly. Like, they're just like... Yeah, it's just a bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of crap. Post-scarcity, right? We're already post-scarcity. We create double the amount of food we need, right? The only reason we're throwing it in the bin is because if we gave it away for free, it would lower the price of food, right? So we're already manufacturing scarcity. Scarcity is already being manufactured. It's being manufactured in our housing, right? The billionaires bought up all our housing. There's 66,000 empty homes here in Toronto. So they're already manufacturing scarcity, driving up the price of housing that way. And they're already manufacturing scarcity in food. They make double the amount of food that we need, right? They could literally give the food away for free. We could literally create a system that just nationalizes the food distribution network, right? Pays the farmers, pays the workers, pays everybody, right? Ensures that everything's taken care of and people can literally come and get food for free. We've already got that system. It's already here. The only reason we won't is because, well, capitalists need to capitalism, right? You can become self-sufficient with it while also creating and providing resources for other working class people. Yeah. I like that idea a lot. Yeah. I have no idea why there's profit in food. Yeah. Like, this is how basic this conversation is becoming now, right? We're getting down to the real nuts and bolts of it. That, like, the anti-government crowd is incoherent at this stage because they're like getting to the point where they're saying, well, oh yeah, the police and the military and the fire department, all of those can be controlled by the government. And even the healthcare system, sure, that can all be controlled by the government. But the food and shelter, that's where I draw lines. I want the food and shelter to be controlled by private individuals who withhold it from us in exchange for our wage labor, right? Capitalism is a death cult. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Like, that's the path we're on. Yeah, if you let the people eat, they won't work for you, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, exactly. That, and isn't it telling that we can't get a politician to acknowledge that that's the case? Here you go. Here's $1 billion. Spend it on cop stuff. We're closing your school to save money. Stay out of trouble. This is it. Like, this is it in a nutshell, right? Like, we spend so much more on policing and military than we do on just, like, school, right? Really, really basic shit. Can you imagine if we took the money we were spending on cops and we instead just gave it to people so that they could have food and shelter, right? Like, it would be a mass reconfiguration of how the society actually functioned. And it would actually make the society function, right? That right now, our society, again, it's not a society, it's just a fucking business, isn't it? Right? It's not a society, it's just a fucking business. Yeah. Nurses behind Canadian anti-vax hospital protest says hate is pouring in, won't do it again. Good. Straight up, just good. And like, fuck these guys, right? Like, fuck these guys. I cannot believe that anybody thought that it was a good idea to go to a hospital and protest at a hospital about any of this shit. Like, get the fuck right out of here. But if we didn't criminalize the underclass, what would they do other than rise up? Poverty makes crime a necessity for survival. Exactly. And that funnels people into systems like the Riker corrective system, right? So you see how it's a cycle, right? Keep people in poverty. That means that they have to do crime. That means you get to arrest them. That means you get to put them in these prisons where then you get slave labor out of them, right? And then you get them into the cycle, right? So you get them into the prison, you throw them back out for a second, they relapse or whatever, and they end up back in the prison system. Around and around they go. So instead of being a wage slave, which is what we all are, they become literally just slaves, like prison slaves. You might as well call them. Like and it's on purpose, right? It's being done completely on purpose. And we need to get past this idea that it's just like, oh, well, what an incidental kind of thing that's happening. Oh, no, it's on purpose. Hey, Duke, how you doing, bud? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, here's an article coming out of the Tyee. Tax the rich and don't be shy about it. Turn it up slightly higher than what parties currently propose, and we could raise enough to achieve huge things. Rehabilitation was never a goal, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about, Tom, when I'm saying, like, we need to accept that the goal was always our enslavement. Explicitly stated, explicitly understood, explicitly planned for. They never cared about rehabilitation. Never one time did they care. Maybe they cared that you cared about it so that they could trick you into moving forward with them. But their plan was always enslavement. From day one, their plan was always enslavement. Prison was never about rehabilitation. That idea was thrown out of the window after deinstitutionalization. Yeah. Like, they're not at all interested in alleviating suffering. The suffering in many cases is the point. The suffering in many cases is the point. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a minor break here. I had a video ready to go for this occasion. Did I have the video? Oh, here. This is actually a little positive moment, even though it's liberal pandering. This is the definition of liberal pandering. It's still nice to hear a United States president say this out loud.
Extreme weather cost America last year $99 billion. $99 billion extreme weather cost last year. And it's going to break the record this year. It's going to be well over $100 billion. We know what the driver is, climate change. We know what's causing climate change, human activity. This is no longer subject to debate. And I might add, windmills do not cause cancer. You know, look, we got to get real about what's going on. I really mean it. Think about it. The only debate is around what we do to confront this crisis. And that shouldn't even be a debate. You know, we have to invest in being more resilient because of the impacts of climate. The climate change is current today, not next year, not 10 years from now. We have to make the investments that are going to slow our contributions to climate change today, not tomorrow. Extreme weather cost America last year $99 billion. $99 billion extreme weather cost last year. And it's going to break the record this year. It's going to be well over $100 billion. We know what the driver is, climate change. We know what's causing climate change.
It's nice to hear, right? It's nice to hear the President of the United States acknowledge that reality is real, right? Isn't that always nice? So guys, there's a couple of new people in the chat here, so this is going to be a pleasure. If you guys are new, here's the little odd moment where I get to sing a song to you, right? And you don't get that on your other streams, do you? Right? Little show and tell, little song. Let's go. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a liberal word salad for sure. Yeah, oh wait, this needed to happen 15 years ago. Exactly, Duke. You're totally right about that. So, this is a great song because I call this the Care Bear stare against the neoliberal death cult. that if everybody in the planet just kind of took a breath and even hummed this tune, there's nothing these neoliberals could do about it. Got asked a question by my niece who's 5 years old. What's the world gonna be like when I'm grown? I look up at the crimson smoke-filled sky. I said, what's the harm in telling one more lie? I said, everybody's safe, no one's living in the streets. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? The burning sun won't leave a paper trail. Why work so hard if it's too big to fail? And what's the point of feeding this machine if it won't make the world in our dreams where everybody's safe, no one's living in the streets? You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? And I know one day my maker I will meet, when death's sweet kiss comes and sweeps me off my feet. I hope by then we've learned a little more. I'd like this place to be better than before, so everybody's safe, no one's living in the streets. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? When everybody's safe, no one's living in the streets. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? And I know that we can do it, because the solutions to our problems are actually extremely easy. That all we really do have to do is stop. That the problems that will arise due to us stopping this endless war against the earth itself are much more manageable than the problems we will face continuing this war against the earth itself. And when we stop, and I believe that we can, when we stop, we will sit back in awe and witness the miraculous power of the earth healing itself. And we will realize that all of our attempts to kill the earth were no different than a baby squalling in his mother's arm. And if we want to be here to see this miracle unfold in front of us, all we have to do is stop. And I don't know that we can manage even that. I've been saying it just to remind us of our place in the cosmic universe. This is not a tragedy. This is a comedy. That the rest of the universe is looking at us very much in the same way that we look at the anti-maskers of the Deep South. Our wounds are self-inflicted. We are out of sympathy for them, and the universe will soon be out of sympathy for us. And if we don't actually stop what we're doing, when we die, no one will care. That we will just be a joke, a footnote. Why didn't they just stop? Why didn't they just stop? They knew they were going to die. They knew the whole thing was going to blow up. They knew. They had all the evidence. They had all the facts, right? And they worked as hard as they could to deny it, and they just blew themselves up. Why? What was that all about, do you figure? Some alien race looking at us, just scratching their head. So, what the hell was that all about, do you think? Hey, Aga, how you doing today? Did you see AOC's Met Gala's dress? Yes. I thought that was a fine piece of performative art. That she is doing a very good job of monetizing her position and selling back the anti-capitalist rhetoric to us, right? As capitalists do. She's found a way to package it and sell it back to us in a way to make herself money. So good for her, right? She's not actually going to vote anything. She's not actually going to fight for any of that, right? She's not actually interested in any of that, right? She is in the game as much as any of these guys are in the game. That her wearing that tax the rich white dress is not much different from when Pelosi and Biden took the knee over the Black Lives Matter protests. Strictly performative, right? Had nothing to do with their policies, had nothing to do with any of that. Like AOC is very intelligent and she's very savvy, right? She knows what to say and she understands. She is galvanizing the anger of the base, right? That's what she is doing. That's why she is popular. But she votes with the Democrats, right? She votes along those lines. She and then she'll stand up and grumble about it. But, like, it's your vote that matters. Like, it's your vote that matters. You can say what you like, but if you vote against us, it's worse than going out with the A-bombs. Yeah, the famines are going to be the hardest part, eh, Duke? I keep telling people that because nobody's actually talking about that. Nobody's actually living in the reality that, like, we are going to go through some pretty major famines. Like, it's going to happen soon, sooner than we'd like. And here in North America, it's not going to be as brutal because it's going to be the people that we export food to and we stop exporting food to that are going to really starve. Like, the starvation is going to happen in places like Africa and the Middle East, right? Maybe places throughout South America, maybe. But like that's where the real starvation is going to happen. But what's going to happen here in Canada and the United States is that suddenly food is going to double, triple, quadruple in price, right? It's going to cost you $20 to get a bag of rice, that kind of shit, right? Or like we and at this stage the famines are almost unavoidable. Like I don't see how we avoid the famines that are coming our way. And I mean, buy a big old bag of rice and keep it in a dry space. Have it on hand. Because that shit's coming and it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. And yeah, and the neoliberal profit model, right? It's just going to allow the prices to get jacked while the capitalist death cult hoards all the food from us and continues to manufacture scarcity, right? Like the idea that they're not going to continue manufacturing scarcity just because people are starving to death. Like these guys are sociopaths. Like they don't care about that. To them, it's just good business. So they're going to do it. And if we don't actually confront these guys, like a big reason why I'm saying we need to confront capital and move away is so that when we go into the famine, like when the famine happens, we actually get models of rationing. We actually can have a ration model so that every citizen is fed and taken care of, right? And we've had rationing models before. We did that all throughout World War I and World War II, right? The idea that we can't do it again is just complete and total fallacy. It's total bullshit, right? But that's all these guys have now is just complete and total bullshit because they're psychopaths and it's been working, right? Why shouldn't they continue pandering and lying to us? It's been working, right? So until something actually gives, when the famines occur, it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be fucking brutal. So we gotta get the market away from these guys before that shit starts happening. And that's predestined by now. That's some just like straight up fate shit at this point. We're not gonna suddenly like pull up on this thing to avoid these famines. That's not gonna happen, dude. Like, that's not going to happen, right? And if we just let companies like Nestle control the place, well, they're going to suck up the last of our moisture and sell it to us in bottles, right? For like $500 a pallet or whatever, you know? Like, it's just absolutely insipid and stupid what we've done. It's like in that movie Idiocracy, right? That the central problem that these idiots were facing is that their crops weren't growing anymore because they were putting like Gatorade on the fields instead of water. And they were putting Gatorade on the fields instead of water because it made this corporation super wealthy. And then by getting rid of the Gatorade that they put on the crops and exchanging it for water, it created an economic crisis because their whole system is so fucking stupid, right? And Idiocracy fundamentally is a critique of the capitalist model of doing things, of the profit motive, which is fundamentally stupid. It's an extremely stupid way to organize your society. But there is such a thing as an extremely stupid sociopath, right? And that's exactly who's in charge. It's the stupidest people you've ever met who have no empathy and no compassion whatsoever. Those are the people who are in charge of our country. And we're just letting them. We're just letting them. I'm going to play another song. I'm in the mood. Another month inside this car. The wage they pay me with don't get me very far. The chains that hold me break me down, but they don't scar. Can't even drink away my blues inside a bar, and this year sucks. This The days get harder, but it's too hard to keep track. They keep you tied before your soul opens a crack. And God don't care what monkeys think about the facts. And this year sucks. This year sucks. Can you blame a man for trying to give it up? And this year sucks. So sit atop your pile of bones and bloody gold, and human sacrifice don't stop you being old. At least you'll die before the bomb you set explodes. We're gonna burn to death while doing what we're told, and this year sucks. This year sucks. Can you blame a man for trying to give it up? And this year sucks. It burns down anyway. It burns down anyway. It burns down anyway. It burns down anyway. Yeah. Oh yeah, 3 degrees by the end of century is locked in. If we stop all fossil fuels tomorrow, if we follow the Paris Accord, I think we get to 4.5 degrees by end of century. Yeah, like it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Like this idea that we can negotiate with the sun. Like everybody got together and said, yeah, the sun will understand, right? The sun will understand and see that we are trying, right? It's not gonna even fuck at all. It's not gonna even fuck at all. Like, we are in big red alert crisis mode. We are in big red alert crisis mode now. And the idea that like Justin Trudeau or Aaron O'Toole or even Jagmeet Singh is actually gonna like do anything about it. Like, how do we know that these guys are not being serious about climate change? Because one of the major contributors to climate change is the United States military. And the United States military is accelerating, right? Like, you want to see less pollution? Demilitarize. Slow down, right? You want to see less pollution? Do less. So it's become childishly straightforward, right? Like, it really is like this self-inflicted wound that we refuse to acknowledge and refuse to. It's like we're literally stabbing ourselves with a knife, being like, man, I hope one day I stop getting stabbed by knives. And it's just like, for real, dude. Like, for real, just stop. Just stop stabbing yourself with a knife. Like, what's at issue here? Like, what's at issue? And when you dig in, when you really, really dig in, you really do end up with like a scared, stupid, arrogant monkey that has nuclear bombs. Really is that straightforward. Really is that straightforward. Doing well, Crouching. Doing well. Well, I mean, prepared to adapt as best we can. In my view, it's about organizing and creating organizational structures, right? Like we really are going to have to get to know our neighbors. Like, this is one of the great successes of neoliberal capitalism is you have no idea who your next door neighbor is, right? I don't, right? It's something that I need to get better at for sure. But like, we are isolated from one another. We don't know how to build community. We don't know how to build that kind of organizations around us. We're not good at it at all. And to me, that's like one of the great successes of neoliberal capitalism, is ensuring that there is no community, ensuring that there is no society, really, that it's just a business, and all considerations are business considerations. Like, we're no longer, and like if you do reach out to your neighbors, right? Like it's kind of odd. So it is going to be, because like when these conflagrations occur, like when shit goes down, it's the people around you who are going to matter the most, right? The people who are directly around you. Like if you're living in an apartment building, those are the people, right? Like there's not going to be some institution, there's not going to be some organization, there's not going to be trucks driving down the street trying to make sure everybody's got everything they need. All of that's not going to happen. None of that is happening, right? It literally is the people in your building. It is the people on your street. And if you don't know who those people are, you got to start reaching out to them. And that's true for myself as well. I say that for myself as well as anybody else, because it's just true. It's just the truth that when shit gets real, when the shit hits the fan, those are the people you're going to have to rely on. And they're going to have to rely on you, right? It's just the way it's going to be. It's just the way it's going to be. Another great one from Existential Comics. Imagine thinking food isn't a human right. Like, what the heck did we build civilization for then? Why did we bother industrializing agriculture? So we could make enough food for everyone only to let people starve anyway? Right? Like, the absolute insipid insanity of the capitalist system is now right on the surface, right? It's right on the surface. That the people who are denying or pretending as though capitalism still has some credibility are in a state of denial. That the first stage of grieving death is denial. And these people who are walking around pretending like capitalism still has life in it are deluded. They're in denial. And we really got to start treating them that way. The revolution is eternal. Communism won't be built in a day, but it will be built, and we will build it. Yeah. That's a wonderful sentiment, Bumble Guppy. That's a wonderful sentiment. Oh, I hope that's the truth, man. I hope that's the truth. Oh, here's a fun one. Aaron O'Toole, who is in the race to be Prime Minister of Canada, looks a lot like Hitchcock from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Huh? I think that's just good, clean fun right there. You can't unsee it now, eh? Like, it's just who he is. If you guys don't know Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like, this guy is like a perverted idiot, basically. So, perverted idiot, maybe? Who's to say? Who knows? Oh, here's a moment, guys, to say, don't forget to like and share and subscribe and do all that stuff. If you've got a buck jangle around your pocket, please consider donating down below. Hey, Dan, how you doing, bud? I hate doing capitalism in here, but it does need to happen because I've got rent to pay just like everybody else. And if you've got a little bit of extra pocket change, you could send it to my Patreon, you could send it to my PayPal. I would appreciate it. Thanks, guys. So this is a great article that has, or not article, something like 400, like you can take a look. Here are the signatures, 424. These are all economists from various universities. So you've got University of California, Northwestern University, like all over the place, Michigan, Reuters, Brown, like literally, if it's a university, chances are good the head economist of that university signed this document. And what it is it's a letter to the Democratic Party to expand the child care benefit that the Democrats implemented when they got into office, right? Childhood poverty. We, the undersigned economists, strongly support making permanent the 2021 expansion of the child tax credit. The expanded child tax credit can dramatically improve the lives of millions of children growing up in the United States and promote our country's long-term economic prosperity. Childhood poverty is a staggering problem in the United States, affecting approximately 1 in 7 children and 1 in 5 children of color. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic began, children growing up in poverty began life at a disadvantage. On average, they attain less education, face greater health challenges, and are more likely to have difficulty obtaining steady, well-paying employment in adulthood. A panel of experts convened by the National Academy of Sciences estimated that because of such effects, childhood poverty costs the country between $800 billion and $1.1 trillion each year. Like, oh, big fucking surprise, guys. Basic income schemes work, right? Oh, give money to the poor, and the poor will no longer be poor. Oh, fuck, right? Oh my God. But again, like, I think we really do got to start talking about the reality that, and they say it right here, like, childhood poverty costs the country between $800 billion and $1.1 trillion a year. So it's more expensive to keep people in poverty than it is to alleviate said poverty, right? That it's more expensive to keep people in poverty than it is to alleviate their poverty. And we really do have to come to the reality that that's what they want, right? They want us to be poor. They're happy to pay more for it. That's what they want. This is why I say we've got to surround them. Like, we need hundreds of thousands of people in the streets surrounding the halls of power, because we know it's cheaper. Implement a basic income. We know it's cheaper than dealing with the outcomes of poverty. But they won't do it because they like poverty. They like that people are desperate. They like that people are starving and scrabbling and willing to sell their lives for this bullshit $7.25 an hour. They like that, right? These guys are sociopaths. They're psychopaths. Like, it's really, really obvious. Like, it's really, really obvious at this point. Like, what else could they be, right? They're not concerned citizens. They don't give a shit about anything, about literally anything. They don't even care about their own children, right? And here you have a document being signed by, like, literally every economist in every economics department saying, expand this program. How much you want to bet that that's not going to happen? How much you want to bet? Right? Anytime I've ever seen this kind of letter get sent to an institution, it never happens. Right? It never happens. Because you've got to keep people desperate. Like, if you want capitalism to work, if you want the capitalist system to work, you have to keep people desperate. Yeah, I'm not so optimistic that a sternly worded letter will have any effect, but I am pointing it out because there is large-scale support for it. That's what I'm more interested in. Like, I'm not really interested, like, this isn't going to influence the Democrats at all. It's a sociopathic institution that works for sociopaths, right? But what I am interested in pointing out is, hey, here's a group of people who have a certain degree of power, many of whom may be convinced to join you on the streets themselves. Because that is what it is going to take. Right? I'll say it over and over and over again on this channel. I'll say it until I'm red in the face. I'll say it until the day I die. Until we surround the halls of power with people, here's a list for you. Right? Do you live in Amherst? Well, Lawrence King thinks this is a good idea. Right? Like, do you live in California, Berkeley? Well, Jonathan Kolstad thinks this is a good idea. Right? Here's a list of people who can join you in the streets. Right? And bring some friends. And let's not fool ourselves. That is what it's going to take. Like, no more should we be even contemplating or taking seriously whatsoever that, oh, maybe we'll come up with a solution and negotiate and yeah, the people in power will do it. That's not going to happen. Right? That's not going to happen. We got to get through this, like, we can't live in this state of denial anymore. Like, we got to get over the denial. We got to get through the anger, right? We got to get through the depression. We got to accept that we can't bargain with these guys, and we just need to accept what must be done. And what must be done is to take to the streets. There's nothing else to do. There's, like, literally nothing else to do. Oh yeah, here's a great one from Emily Moraine. I finally got on health insurance. It's only $5.50 a month, and I got to pay $120 for a doctor to tell me my weird mole was probably fine. only 5,000 to go before I hit my deductible. Like, why do Americans tolerate this at all? Like, this is intolerable. If I was in this situation, like if I was living in Canada and this is the situation that I found myself in, it would be completely intolerable to me. I have no idea why Americans put up with it at all. Based on this issue alone, every single American should be in the streets. Like, literally no other country, right? No other country organizes their society this way. There isn't a single one. Americans pay way more for healthcare than everybody else, and they get way worse outcomes. Like, and you end up with like grotesque outcomes where, like, first of all, if a mother has a child, it costs on average like $10,000 to $30,000 for her to have a baby in the first place. And then if she wants to have like skin on skin contact with her own baby, if she wants to hold her baby, it costs you money. Like, that's how you know your system is demonic, right? If a mother gives birth to her child and then wants to hold her child, there's a cost associated to that. Like, that's demonic. It's demonic. I think it's like 40K to 60K people who die each year in the US. It's crazy. Even more by now. Yeah. And like, the wealthy don't give a fuck at all. Like, they don't care. Like, those are just sacrifices to the capitalist death cult, right? That if they do care, it's only so that they can scoff with a sneer. Like, these people are evil, right? Like, they're as evil as the Nazis ever were. And like, I don't understand how that's not commonly understood. I don't understand why we're still attempting to give these people the benefit of the doubt. That when someone like AOC shows up with a tax the rich dress, it's kind of a joke, right? It's so that the wealthy can have a little laugh about it. Oh, he, isn't that a fun idea that's never gonna fucking happen, right? And they know it's never gonna happen. That if AOC walking around with a dress that said tax the rich was effective, they wouldn't let her do it, right? And for some reason, we're supposed to still give these overt, over-the-top, Hitler-level sociopaths a pass. Why? Because they're American, I guess. Like, no. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, think about someone like Hillary Clinton, right? Hillary Clinton was responsible for the complete and wholesale destruction of Libya, right? Remember all the, like, Benghazi shit? All that kind of shit is all tied up in this. She destroys Libya, right? Libya was a socialist nation that had effectively eliminated homelessness, that had raised the literacy rate, that had raised the life expectancy rate. People were doing much better in Libya, and there were periods of time in the Libyan economy where their economy was growing faster than the American economy, right? So Libya was improving and leaping in leaps and bounds, and they destroyed it so badly that there are now open slave trade markets, right? That's Hillary Clinton. That's as bad as the Nazis, period. Like, period and full stop. And so I love it whenever I encounter somebody saying, like, well, what would you have done? What do you think you would have done during the Nazi period? Well, you know exactly what you would be doing during the Nazi period because you're in it. You're in it. That the Bush administration invaded two countries pointlessly, destroyed them for 20 years plus now. Obama came in, expanded the wars from 2 to 7 with the full-scale destruction of all of the people who live in those places. They've got not one, not two, but 3 genocides on the go right at the moment. Not to mention their fuckery in South America and Africa, right? These guys are worse than the Nazis, for sure. Like, pound for pound, they're worse than the Nazis. Only this time we don't have the Soviet Union to actually stop them. Might be China, though. We'll see. I live in the US and the spirit of people is broken. I can remember the 70s and there's no comparison. Yeah. Oh, but she's a feminist, John. Enough said. I'm with her, brah. Yeah. But performative neoliberal feminism monetization. Hey, if it works, right? If you're stupid enough to just believe that, like, and we've seen this with the liberals, right? We've seen this with the liberals that for like years and years and years, they keep promising pharmacare, they keep promising stuff, right? And if you're willing to vote for them for promises, right, that they don't need to deliver on, then why should they ever deliver? Why bother delivering? You seem happy with promises. Yeah, we don't have the USSR to stop them. That was the plan. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. So just so you guys know, at around 8 o'clock, I got to do some finagling to get a Zoom call going. Nico is going to come in and is going to report his first hand account of what happened at the at one of the protests, one of the hospital protests. I'm looking forward to hearing what he observed and what he saw. That's going to happen probably about 10 minutes. So it's going to be a little fussy for just like a little bit of time while I do that kind of stuff. Yeah, and this is exactly right. LMA, oh no, you can still win. Yeah, new game, please, new game. This guy's just straight out dead. Like, it is just a big game of Monopoly, eh? Like, it's just this stupid, idiotic, like, keep going around the board, keep going around the board, right? And of course, don't worry, guys, John's been working very hard on the nutshell cover for us. Yes, I certainly have not. I'm going to be straight. I definitely, like, ended yesterday's stream and went straight to bed. Sorry, dude. Maybe tonight. Oh yeah, this is insane. This comes from Bruce Arthur. I love Bruce Arthur. He's on the right side of things. A medical officer of health with no public health qualifications, Matt Strauss, is an absurdly political hire. So this is the guy who's been hired here in Ontario to be the officer, a medical officer of health, right? He's an anti-lockdown, anti-restriction, anti-public health doctor, right? Hired in early September to be the new interim acting medical officer of health. And it's like, this has Doug Ford written all over it, right? Like, if you don't have your medical officers telling you to care about the people, then you don't have to care about the people extra, right? Like, this absurd situation we find ourselves in with, I just think about, like, how this is a comedy, right? That this is a comedy. And, like, having someone like Doug Ford in power at this moment in time is some of the funniest shit ever. Like, isn't that just hilarious shit? How's that for timing, right? We've got this completely illiterate, totally incompetent, sociopathic boob who's in power, who obviously only wants money for himself, who obviously only wants to empower himself and his own business interests, who does not give a fuck at all about a single person in the world outside of himself. And he's the guy who's in power right in the middle of a pandemic. It's a joke, right? It's comedy at its best. Like, literally showing us exactly how stupid we are as a people and exactly how idiotic our moronic idea of individualism and, like, stick-to-itivism and, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, how moronic all of that looks. Like, the people who are still walking around pretending is like, oh, just get a job. Like you're a fucking idiot. Like, that's just fucking stupid at this stage in the game. And yet, there are plenty of people doing it. There's plenty of people who are just doubling down on the shambling corpse that is capitalism. It's very fascinating to me how socialism beats capitalism in the pandemic with the CERB. There's your evidence. Yeah. Don't tell me they cannot do a UBI my ass. Exactly. And, like, look how fragile, like, first of all, look how easy it is, right? That capitalism is, like, this is how fragile capitalism is, right? It literally can be defeated by the most meager supports. I've said this before, right? That capitalism is weak. It's an inherently weak system. It can't withstand even a case of the sniffles, right? That it's a system that falls apart literally the second it's confronted by a serious challenge. And honestly, COVID's not even that serious a challenge, right? It's not that serious a challenge. Like, that's how weak capitalism is. It can be defeated with just the simple passage of basic supports into the populace. And just say, like, oh yeah, okay, so you get your food, you get your shelter. Well, that's the end of capitalism. Oh. Like, turns out capitalism, like, for all of its puffed out chest, for all, it's just like a peacock, right? It's just feathers, it's just bamboozling. But in the end, it's just this little fragile bird that you can crush, right? And like, quite seriously, all it's going to take is for us to all get out in the streets and demand a change, right? And demand a serious change. Like, these CEOs and executives and shareholders should simply not exist. That entire structure should go away. You could get rid of it with a one-pager. Like, I don't understand why we tolerate them in the negotiation whatsoever. Like I actually do straight out think, like, if these guys were actually kings, like, if the people who are in power now were actually, like, monarchical kings, we already would have overthrown them. We wouldn't even thought about it, right? We wouldn't even had, like, big conversations about it. We would have just known, like, oh, these guys are acting like sociopaths. Let's get rid of them. But for some reason, because it's capitalism and individualism, I bootstrap myself and all this fucking delusional nonsense that these guys have, like, suckered themselves into believing because they're children that never grew up. We seem to think it's uncouth, right? We're too fucking polite about it. Like, Doug Ford's house should be surrounded. It should have been surrounded since the beginning, right? His house should be surrounded. But if you actually try to get people to do that, oh, that's not polite, John. Oh, that's so uncouth. You can't do that. That's you've got to keep politics separate from their personal life. Well, they're not keeping my personal life separate from their politics, right? When they cut my benefits, when they cut my wages, when they cut my access to social services, right? That's personal, and I take it personally. So yeah, we should absolutely be surrounding Doug Ford's house and Justin Trudeau's house and fucking Aaron O'Toole's house, for that matter. Fuck all of these guys, right? They should not be able to leave their premises. That's how serious we should be taking this. But we're too stupid. We're too dumb, and it's obvious that we're too dumb. Like, look how dumb we are. Like, look how dumb we are. That's so dumb, guys. Like, this is so dumb. Like, the idea that we're still voting liberal and conservative, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, and absolutely the number one thing that I have learned from this pandemic is that there are genuinely stupid people in the society. Like, genuinely stupid. Which means more and more that the people who are spreading lies and disinformation into the society should be banished. That it's one thing to make the argument that, like, oh, it's acceptable to lie in the society because people should be able to discern between those lies and what's real. But guess what? Huge segments of the populace cannot make that discernment because they are very stupid. And so when you allow liars to lie in the society freely without repercussion, well, you're basically permitting them to create chaos in your society to deceive stupid and gullible people. Yeah, Dougie and Harris should be in jail for sure. For sure. The nursing home thing, absolutely. Like, and like, the number one thing that should tell you that the liberals and the conservatives are allies is that a liberal will never go after a conservative like that. They will never attempt to incarcerate people like Doug Ford and Mike Harris because they're allies. Because they know that if they begin to incarcerate conservatives for their crimes, of which they are guilty, and there are many, then conservatives will do the same to them, right? And liberals are also quite guilty of many crimes. So you can't have a system like that with where you've got your allies fighting like that, right? So there's a gentleman's agreement. There's a gentleman's agreement between the liberals and the conservatives that we will never attempt to incarcerate you for your overt and obvious crimes, no matter how overt they are, no matter how criminal they are. Because if we were to do that, then we would also need to uphold that standard, and we don't want it. We want to be rich too. Which again flows back to what I've been saying the whole time: get rid of billionaires. Get rid of billionaires. Fucking get rid of them. It's so fucking stupid that they exist. Like, we straight out should not tolerate leadership that is not attempting to get rid of the billionaires. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is the stupidest shit of life. It's the stupidest shit of life. Oh, I know, buddy. I got a little pug over here, and he's whining away at me. Whining away. Okay, guys. I'm going to take a second. Set this all up. Host a meeting. Video on. I know, buddy. You want peanut butter? My little guy wants some. Oh. I think I know why. Hold on. Leave meeting. Just quickly. Behind the scenes with John. Behind the scenes with John. Oh, I know, buddy. Oh, I know. Come on. I need a better way of doing this, honestly. This is so annoying. This is so annoying. Okay, I don't think I'm actually going to be able to get it going on. Here, hold on. Sorry, guys. Just give me half a tick. Give me half a tick. Technical difficulties, but can't make it happen today. Not bad. Ugh, annoying. I need to find a better way of doing this. For sure. Gotta find a better way to do this. I just don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. Because the Zoom shit is like, it doesn't quite work out. It's kind of annoying, right? And I don't know what other program to use or what other system to use. Ugh. I got this dog whining in my ear. Give me peanut butter, give me peanut butter, give me peanut butter. Sorry about that, guys. On the technical side of things, I'm not very strong, honestly. Yeah, Skype. I would have to ask him to download Skype. People still use Skype. Yeah, I just don't... Like, Zoom is so annoying because it's not actually giving you, like, a direct peer-to-peer connection, right? Like, I don't understand why it's... Like, it seems structured to be a pain in the ass. And I actually, as I'm talking about it, I know exactly why they've done it that way. They've done it that way so they can monetize it, right? They've done it that way so that they can, like, charge people to have multiple feeds and all that kind of stuff, because capitalism makes everything worse, right? So fucking annoying. So fucking. Well, if that's the case where I'm not going to be able to get Nico in today, which is annoying, then I am going to read aloud this article from the Tyee. Tax the rich, and don't be shy about it. Turn it up slightly higher than what parties currently propose, and we could raise enough to achieve huge things. This is from Alex Hemingway, who is a senior economist at the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, BC office. Amid a rise in extreme inequality, the idea of an annual tax on the wealth of the super rich has risen to prominence in recent years. Oh, yes. Because I forgot. Hello again. I know, you want to see my beautiful self as I do this crouching. I know. You're just like, oh, John, I need to see your beautiful face. Amid a rise in extreme inequality, the idea of an annual tax on the wealth of the super rich has risen to prominence in recent years in many countries. New analysis shows that a robust wealth tax in Canada, one that goes further than those currently on the table in the federal election, could raise well over $250 billion in revenue during the next decade. During the pandemic, billionaire wealth skyrocketed globally, and in Canada, major gaps in social investment were exposed, and large emergency expenditures provided a critical lifeline, raising the question of how concentrated wealth might be tapped to raise more public revenue going forward. Recent polling suggests that a wealth tax is a striking point of unity among the Canadian public, with the policy garnering 89% support overall, including 83% of conservative voters. It's equally striking that a near consensus among the public has translated so unevenly to the party platforms. The federal NDP is proposing a 1% annual tax on net wealth over $10 million in its 2021 election platform. Though this is more modest than wealth taxes proposed by Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders in the United States, who would apply rates on the super rich rising as high as 6% and 8% respectively, the Green Party is backing a smaller wealth tax in its newly released platform, which would apply the 1% rate to net family wealth over $20 million. The Liberals, Conservatives, and Bloc Québécois opposed a parliamentary motion for a wealth tax last year, though the Bloc's election platform now backs a one-time wealth tax, but not an ongoing one. The focus of this analysis is on wealth taxes specifically, but it should be noted that the NDP, Greens, Blocs, and Liberal each propose additional taxes on the well-to-do, though none of these other policies would raise as much revenue as a wealth tax, nor do they target wealth directly. A suite of policies is needed to tackle extreme inequality and raise public revenue, so adding more tools to the toolbox is welcome. Prior to the pandemic, wealth inequality in Canada had already reached new extremes. Research from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives shows that by 2016, Canada's 87 richest families each held, on average, 4,448 times more wealth than the typical family. Together, these 87 families held more wealth than the bottom 12 million Canadians combined. The richest 1% controlled 26% of Canada's wealth in 2016, according to a Parliamentary Budget Office report. Recent academic research suggests that figure may even be higher at 29% of wealth. Speaking of the 1%, a household in the top 1% of wealth holders in Canada is not necessarily rich enough to be subject to the proposed wealth taxes. A wealth tax over $10 million would apply to only the richest 0.5%, representing about 75,000 families in total. In other words, these wealth tax proposals apply only to the richest of the rich, but they can still raise significant revenues. Taxing extreme wealth, room to think bigger. How much revenue could be raised by a more robust annual wealth tax that aims higher than the 1% rate currently on the table in the federal election, moving closer to some of the more ambitious policies being proposed by some legislatures in the United States? To answer this question, I modeled a moderate wealth tax with 3 brackets: 1% on net wealth over 10 million, 2% over 50 million, and 3% over 100 million. This wealth tax would go further than the NDP's proposal, the strongest in the election platforms, which applies a single rate of 1% on wealth over 10 million. But it remains much lower than the rates of up to 6% and 8% in Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders' recent policy proposals and draft legislation. Indeed, more aggressive wealth tax rates like those in the Sanders and Warren proposals should be part of Canada's debate too. These most aggressive rates are needed to make a real dent in enormous fortunes and begin to truly deconcentrate extreme wealth rather than simply slow its growth as slower rates would do. You know what's annoying about this? I'm going to stop reading this. It's very technical. That's all great and all. But we know. We know. Honestly, I'm reading through this and I'm like, yeah, we know. We know. We know. So now the question really is, why are they not doing it? Right? That's the article I want to be reading. Canada is more than rich enough to meet these challenges. We know. But we need to harness our national wealth. We know. Of course, the wealthy in the country and influential will fight. Okay, here you go. Of course, the wealthy in this country are influential and will fight to block such policy from being enacted. They may succeed unless, building on extraordinary levels of public support and the lessons of social movement history, people organize from below to take on the power of organized money. So literally, like the last possible statement, right? This guy is dabbling in the idea that, like, yeah, we're going to have to organize, like, movements from below. This should be the opening line, right? Like, we know all this. Like, this is something that we know. We now need to be talking about how to get in these people's faces about it, right? Like, how to cause them problems, how to stop them from actually being able to do anything except what we tell them to do. Just tax them 100% like $1 million or more, end of story. They need to be taken down a peg. Well, beyond taken down a peg, they need to be eliminated. Like, it's a class of citizen that needs to be eliminated from the society completely. That, why are we even negotiating? Why is this even a negotiation, right? That the negotiation should literally be between people and the political system. That should literally be what the conversation is, and it's not, right? That we are actually in a battle between billionaires who have taken over the political system. And this guy doesn't say this, right? That the political system has been co-opted and taken over by billionaires, right? That we are now no longer fighting fellow citizens in order to try to get stuff enacted through the political structure, right? We are fighting billionaires. It's really obvious. Like, I think you have to be kind of thick to think otherwise at this point. Like, there's got to be, like, a high level of denial going on. Is it just you in here right now, Crouching? No, there's 7 people. That's nice. You're just the talky one. You're just the talking one. You're such a sweetheart, Crouchy. What shampoo am I using, bud? I don't know. They just put something in my... This is right after I got the haircut. This is the best it's ever going to look, bud. It's not going to look any better than this. I just... Like, where are the people who are genuinely calling for, like, full-scale revolution, right? Like, I'm there. Like, I'm there. Like, I'm no longer like, this. You're fine, bud. You're fine. Like, I'm so over it. I'm so fucking done. I'm annoyed that I can't get this Zoom shit working. I feel like I leave this guy fucking on the hook. Here we go. So this actually came from Nico. This is what he said for me to show. I showed it before, but I'll go a little deeper now because of Nico. In a series of coordinated anti-vax passports and anti-vax protests planned in front of hospitals, protesters chanted, yelled, and pleaded with healthcare professionals to tell the truth about COVID. Right. Because the ongoing line that exists in this crew, and you can go, I went down to the, hey, Demand Better, how you doing, bud? I went down to the anti-mask protests, and they would have me listen to people, and they would say that COVID doesn't exist. That was the line that was coming out of these guys. COVID doesn't exist, right? And if you are genuinely going to line up at a hospital where the people who are the frontline workers dealing with COVID while simultaneously telling them that COVID doesn't exist, like, that's high-level denial, man. Like, that's high-level denial. The rallies were organized by Canadian frontline nurses, the anti-vax group created by a small collection of nurses, most of who have been fired and are not currently working in nursing. The rallies were, of course, amplified by a network of anti-lockdown figures. The nursing license of 2 of the founders, Kristen Nagel and Sarah Kujunian, are both under investigation from the College of Nurses of Ontario. Both Nagel and Kujunian know a thing or two about large demonstrations. They both spoke at one of the January 6th rallies in Washington that ended with protesters storming the Capitol. Following the protests, Nagel took to Telegram, a social media platform, and posted a video talking about the hate is pouring in and that a lot of people are angry. We won't be silenced, but we will be taking a break, she said. We definitely need to regroup, recharge, refocus, and pivot. and, figure out what we're going to do. We will not be at hospitals again, so hopefully that gives people a peace of mind. Yeah. Nagel said the group is going to focus on building back credibility. You can't build back something you never had. Like, you're genuinely trying to convince people that COVID doesn't exist. Like, think about how stupid that is. Like, really, let's pause for a minute and just think about how incredibly stupid it is to believe that COVID doesn't exist. Yeah, it definitely exists. I had to go to the very start of the pandemic before I got vaxxed. I was so careful too, is a thing. Right? I know people who had COVID. I know people who had COVID, right? And like, if you genuinely are trying to convince people that COVID doesn't exist, like, think about the scale of that conspiracy. Not only within your own society do all the nurses, all the doctors, and all the organizations that are going along with it have to go along with it, right? But so does all your politicians, right? For all parties, right? They need to go along with it. The capitalists who are fighting tooth and nail against locking down, they have to go along with it, right? And then on top of that, every other nation on the planet, including nations you are actually fighting against, including nations that you are at war with, including nations who you are attempting to undermine, also need to go along with it. No. You're insane. If you are standing up and attempting to tell me that COVID does not exist, you are fucking insane. And there's nothing else to say. You're not convincing. Your arguments sound very stupid. You sound very stupid. You have no credibility. Stop protesting. Stop showing up at places and spreading your dumb shit around. Because you're stupid. You're not breaking through. You're not revealing anything. And in fact, all you're doing is making my job harder. That's all you're doing, right? That's all these protest movements are these fucking idiot COVID guys are doing, right? Because what's going to happen? We're all going to go out and we're all going to protest, and we're immediately going to get linked to these anti-mask crazies. It's going to happen immediately. It blows my mind. I had it for 2 weeks like a cold. I tested positive for my family doctor, shaking my head. There's your proof. Like, it's like, I don't know what to say anymore. Like, fucking and like, their own radio shock jocks who are walking around denying that it exists die of COVID, right? Their own people. The people they listen to have been dying of COVID. Like, what does it take? What does it take? And like, this has larger, more profound implications for us, right? Because the people who are denying the existence of COVID, like, if they can deny the existence of COVID, they can deny the existence of anything. They can deny the existence of literally anything, right? And there just does come a point where you've got to be like, okay, if you guys are going to inflict those kinds of wounds, right, I'm not going to go down with you, right? Like, you can deny climate change all you want, but I'm not going to go down with you, right? And if you're going to stand up and you're going to fight to continue to destroy me, then we're in a fight, right? And just and this is the part of it where it gets like really sad, is that these guys, they're so detached from reality. They're in such a high level of denial. And we seriously have to begin asking questions like, when do they become like a national crisis? When is it a national a national security issue? Like, these guys are starting to show up. These guys are starting to show up and bully people, and they're starting to cause problems for people. When is it a national security issue? Like, stupidity, turns out it's a national security issue. Who knew? Who knew? These protests have stunned and saddened exhausted healthcare workers. They are demoralizing, infuriating, and dangerous. The situation is completely unacceptable, and it must be stopped immediately. Yeah. Other nursing groups put out statements making it clear they were in no way associated with Canadian frontline nurses. Nagel, Chujudian, or whatever his stupid fucking name is, and the two other co-founders have been active in the anti-lockdown and COVID conspiracy circles for months. But their group really became known to a wider audience after organizing its first round of hospital protests earlier this month. Like, these people are scumbags. Like, and what's annoying about this is no one is actually asking her, like, what are you fighting for? Right? Like, what do you actually, like, what do you actually, like, what's your actual statement? Because, like, why would you bother the people who are actually doing the work? And, like, you know you're in Schitt's Creek when you got Doug Ford saying the protests were selfish, cowardly, and reckless, right? Jason Kenney saying appalling judgment. John Tory beyond the pale. Toronto police were ready to arrest anyone who obstructed hospital operations and public safety. Although the heavy-handed nature Toronto police has used on homeless encampments compared to the light hand used on people blocking hospitals isn't lost on anyone, right? This is absolutely the truth. Oh yeah, we can round up the cops and just clear out homeless encampments. That's totally fine. But a bunch of fucking Looney Tunes go and block hospitals where actual work is happening and serious shit is going down. Oh, and that's just normal. That's totally fine. Like, everything around us is an illusion, said Nagel. None of this is real. It's all lies. Like, this is why creating massive, large-scale dissemination systems like CSIS and the CIA and the FBI is dangerous, right? It's dangerous to have large-scale disinformation institutions constantly bombarding the populace with lies because people don't know what to believe, right? And so really, really stupid people will gather in force on stupid ideas behind stupid thinking because they don't know what's going on. And they won't believe anybody, and they can't be convinced otherwise because guess what? We've been lying to them. So you ask me, the real criminals in this are not the protesters, right? The real criminals in this are the liars, are the people who we should be rounding up and treating like Nazi propagandists, right? The people who have created a society that don't trust anything anymore. They don't trust each other. They don't trust their institutions. They don't trust anything. Why? Because they've been lied to so often and so often. Daily, they're being lied to, right? We're being lied to every single day. Organizations like the CIA should be shut down, straight up. And every single person working there should go to The Hague. We should put them on trial. Like, it's very, very clear to me. Like, this is why you don't create these kinds of institutions. Like the CIA, it happened almost immediately that they turned against their own people, right? That the idea of the CIA was that they were going to be like an intelligence organization going around gathering information about other nations and all this kind of stuff. They turned on their own country instantly. Like, literally, they went from being an organization that was theoretically supposed to be mucking around in other people's business to literally being traitors to their own countries instantly. They shouldn't exist. And there's a credible argument to say that Kennedy is shot because of this. Because he saw what the CIA was and he was interested in shutting it down, so they shot him. Even when they get the virus, they don't care. They'll be out there spreading it anyway. When I got in, I stayed in for weeks. Be responsible. Yeah. But these, they're not. They're not. These are the dummies, right? These are the dummies. God bless them. I've got nothing against dummies, right? I don't really have much against dummies. The There's a great quote that Frank Zappa has where he says, "Stupidity is kind of cute. Ignorance is not." I completely get what you say. I don't see a way out. Well, there is a way out. Hey, Alex, how you doing? I see a way out. I for sure see a way out. It's for all of us to stop. For all of us to just get together and just say, nope, this is it. We're done. Like, pick a day, stop. Like, and just keep doing that. And I actually see this manifesting in my own protest movement that I'm running, where I've got the thing going on here that I've attached to, right? That's where I spend my energy. And then there's a guy over here that's doing one, and then there's someone over here that's doing one, and someone over here, and we're starting to notice one another and see one another. And so it's only a matter of time until we actually all connect and we get like a big thing going on, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Lee Harvey Oswald. That's hilarious. Jury duty, eh, bud? Oi. Just like, what, you didn't have fun condemning someone to their fate? Hitting, oh, you don't hit the gavel, I suppose. But, guilty. Did you get to be that guy? We, the jury, in the case of this person with that person, declare this guy super, super fucking guilty. Well, I am out of prepared content, so I'm just going to scroll on down. Oh, yes. How wonderful. Ontario to be hit by early and brutal start to winter weather, forecast reveals. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, you're still in the selection process. Ay, that could take forever. My favorite thing about this, like, this is how shameless these guys are. Yeonmi Park, they keep peddling her around as if she's credible in regards to what she says about North Korea. But even, like, nobody takes this person seriously. She recently went on Joe Rogan's podcast. And even as she was talking on Joe Rogan's podcast, you're like listening to her, and the things that she's saying, you're immediately like, that sounds very dumb. Like, that sounds not real at all. Like, she says stupid things like, oh yeah, everybody gets on a train, but the train has no electricity, so everyone has to push the train. And I'm just like, why would they do that? Like, why would they do that? Why would anybody push the train? Like, what are you talking about? Why not just walk? Right? Like, why push the train? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's stupid on the face of it. Like, why would anyone actually do that? And she just makes these claims over and over again. Like, she once said that, like, people would spend a month on the train. And it's like, what? Like, think about how stupid that is. Like, think about how dumb it is that, a person spent a month on a train. Oh, okay. So did they have, like, supply chains going back and forth from the train? Like, how did they eat? How did they support themselves? How did they not starve to death while they were on this train for a month? Like, it's just, like, extremely obvious, stupid shit that anyone should be able to see through. And yet, if she says it, everybody's supposed to go, oh, wow. Oh, wow, that seems serious. Oh, that seems real serious. Oh, yeah, it seems like a legitimately serious thing that actually legitimately happened. Yeah, yeah. But these people are so, like, shameless and just completely out of credibility that they don't care. Like, they know that they're saying this stuff to these guys. They know that they're saying this stuff to these guys now. Like, they know who they're talking to. And who they're talking to are the stupidest people in the country. That, like, you've got to be stupid to listen to somebody like this and go like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, they go to the train and they stay on the train for a whole month. And then the train, they got to all push the train, too, while they're on the train for a month. Yeah, that's a real thing that definitely happens in countries. Like, what the fuck? Ugh. Ugh. We can't eat the rich without free dental care. That's right. That's right, Jugmeat. That's right. Man, Jugmeat's got to go hard, man. I actually have the ad. I actually have the ad that Jugmeat Singh needs to make and start running, right? Here's the ad. It needs to have like dopey music on it, right? So like, and just get like a Canadian, so and make it somebody like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys, right? Like somebody who we all immediately, or like Bob and Doug McKenzie, right? Somebody who we all are just like, instantly recognizable, sort of dopey Canadian. And then have them have some pamphlets, right? And it'll be like liberal and conservative, and like and all the liberal. Well, liberals aren't really offering much of anything conservative. Oh no, what's this orange one? NDP, eh? Oh wow, tax the rich. Oh wow, free dental. Yeah, I really like those things. I might vote NDP this time. And then he closes the pamphlet, and it's Jagmeet Singh's face on the pamphlet. And then he looks at the pamphlet, and then it shows Jagmeet's face again, and it looks back at him, back at the pamphlet, back at him, and it's just like a rising note of like, and he goes, no, I can't, I'm not going to vote NDP. And then just have Jagmeet Singh just be like, really? That's the whole ad. That these guys are literally not moving forward with tax the wealthy, right? Nope, little blip, little bloop. Little bloop, little bloop. Am I still here? Is everybody still seeing me? I had a little bloop. Somebody say that you're still seeing me. What happened? Yeah, it's still going. It's still going. All right. I'm going to assume that it's still going and everything is totally fine. Like, that's stupid, right? Like, that's really, really stupid. The idea that, like, old people will get dentures as well. We don't discriminate here. Yeah, but it's like the NDP, point for point on policy, aligns the closest to what Canadians want, and nobody's voting for them. Why? Because Jagmeet Singh's got a turban. He's got to face it. He's got to face it directly. Like, he has to. He doesn't have a choice. Like, if he is going to be the leader of the NDP and he wants to lead the nation, he's going to have that conversation. And I think the ad that I just laid out is the best way that he has to do it. Because it does sort of throw it back on them, right? It's a very stupid reason not to vote for someone. It's a very, very stupid reason not to vote for someone. He really just needs to say it out loud. It would monumentally help. Yeah, he does need to say it out loud. He needs to say it out loud with regularity, too. That, like, really the only reason... Like, and it needs to be done with this kind of attitude. Like, really? Like, the only reason you're not voting for me is because I've got a turban? Like, really? Like, this is the reason? Because, guys, I gotta tell you, here's something that happened to me today, okay? I'm not telling tales out of school or anything. I literally went and got my hair cut. Lovely woman cut my hair. Absolutely lovely. And she's cutting my hair, and we're talking, right? We get talking politics, and she's just like, oh, yeah, I really do like that Jagmeet, But, I get talking with my brother, and my brother just says, yeah, I'm not going to vote for him because he's got that turban on, Straight out, right? Straight out. Unprompted. I didn't bring it up. I didn't send it to that direction. She told me, right? She's just like, yeah, I just don't think people are going to vote for that guy because of the turban. So they're talking about it, right? The white folk are talking about it, right? The white people are talking about it. They are saying things like, I'm not voting for Jagmeet Singh because he's got a turban on. Was he a con? What the fuck was he? I think he was liberal. I think so. I don't remember. But, like, it was pretty black and white. And I've had several conversations, right? And conversations with people who have said it with a kind of like, that's really unfortunate, but here's the truth. Like, kind of way of like, yeah, I think the truth is just Canadians are not going to vote for a man with a turban, right? Like that kind of attitude. And I've also talked to people who are like, yeah, Jagmeet, I don't know, turban. The white folk are talking about it. It is an issue. It is a problem. The white folk are talking about it. If Jagmeet Singh doesn't take it head on, he'll never be the prime minister of this place. It will never be the case. Yeah, they always say, he's nice, right? Yeah, sure, he's nice, but I don't want him to lead the country, right? Why? Because he's got a turban on. What's with the turban, right? Like, that's what it is. Like, that's what it is. And he can't pretend anymore. Like, he can't pretend anymore. He can't just be in denial about it, right? And I'm sure that it makes him angry. It should. Actually, one of my Ancorn friends said people aren't willing to have a brown PM. I don't know if that... I don't think if it's the brown issue. Like... Yeah, I mean... I hope it's not that bad. Like, I hope it's not that bad. That, like, literally we're not even willing to have a person of color. Right? Like, I hope it's not that bad. Because, like... It could be the case, you're right about this actually, Alex, that it could just be that, like, the turban is the excuse, right? That they feel like it lets them off the hook. That oh, thank goodness I wasn't going to vote for him because he was brown, but he's also got a turban on. And so we can all say, like, the turban's too much, right? Yeah, no turban. Turban, what's with the turban, right? Meanwhile, Justin Trudeau walks on stage, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. Minority. Yeah, dude, it's so fucking dumb. But he has to take it head on, like he does. Even if it is, even if it comes down to the color of his skin. Right? If he wants to be the leader of this place, he's got to take it on. That's his challenge. Like, that's his challenge. And we'll see. It would be deeply unfortunate if the NDP had to have an internal discussion about this and come to the conclusion that a brown man with a big turban, or a big beard and a turban, isn't going to be the leader, so we got to find a new leader. That would be deeply, deeply, deeply unfortunate. Of course, no, it's racist either way. No, of course. But, like... But in their perspective, the turban isn't racist, right? Like, it's a different thing. That they wouldn't think it's racist, right? That, in a way, it's like, it does feel to them as if it's like letting them off the hook for it. It's like, no, it's not racism, it's a fashion thing. Like, it's just kind of like an odd choice. I don't really understand it, you know? It's somehow one step removed, and so that's enough. But it is, like, explicitly racist. Like, it's completely racist. It's so fucking disappointing. Yeah, he should have brought the UBI in the debates. Would have really helped, too. Yeah, such a shame. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Jagmeet Singh. My hope is either he does break through. It's possible. Or if he does have to step aside, that he's still willing to support with his coalition. Because the Sikh coalition that he has behind him is actually quite powerful. Yeah, weird not voting for someone for a fashion choice, but okay. Yeah, exactly. No, it's just fucking the worst. Oh, yeah. Hey, capitalist, how's it going? Stop expecting to get paid for your time. Yeah. Hey, Silverlight, how you doing? If they knew anything, they'd see the turban as a plus. They seem like they follow a good code. Well, that's just it. At first, when we were going into this election, Jagmeet Singh, I thought, had garnered support from Canadians because of his unwillingness to compromise on his values. That he took a pillaring in his first election. Lots of people coming up to him on the street and being like, what's with the turban, bro? And like, you're not going to get anywhere with the turban. I literally saw a video of somebody saying that to him. You're not going to get anywhere with the turban. And he's just like, no, the turban matters to me. It's part of who I am. It's part of my faith. It's part of my religion. I'm not going to back down. And at first, I thought because he had gained seats, right, and he is going to gain seats, so there's a plus. I had initially thought that it was possible that Canadians looked at Jagmeet. And remember, his popularity was also quite high. So his polling was actually quite high as well. So I thought that there was a good chance that he was going to go into this election where polls were high. People had a really good impression of him. They really liked him. And I thought that that was coming because people were saying, we think that he believes in his values, right? And that it's better to have a leader who has values that don't necessarily align with yours than one who has no values whatsoever, right? But it just hasn't manifested that way, right? That at the end of the day, people are picking up the phone and they're answering it of Jagmeet Singh and they're saying, oh yeah, Jagmeet Singh, I really like him. Seems like a smart guy. Seems really good. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I am not going to vote for him as prime minister. Absolutely not. Right? And nobody is connecting those two and being like, well, why? Why are you saying, I like him, but I won't vote for him? That's the answer I would like, right? I'd like to know the answer to that question, right? Find these people who are saying, like, Jagmeet Singh, I really like him. Yeah, oh yeah, I really like him. Because a lot of people do. All the polls show it. Even now, all the polls show that Jagmeet Singh is the most favorable candidate. People like him the best. Oh, so you like Jagmeet Singh. Are you going to vote for him? No, I'm not going to vote for him. No, I'm not going to. Well, why? Get the answer. And you know what the answer is going to be? Well, he's got that turban on, doesn't he? Yeah. It's better we have a leader with values, yet the depths to which we have sunk. Yeah. It's going to get worse, dude. It's going to get way worse than this. Not sure if you've seen that video, The Self-Made Billionaire. Everybody should check that out. It's great. Yeah, there's no such thing as a self-made billionaire. I just, Go train to run between London and Toronto with stops in between. That's good news, right? Expand the go. Just a regular dad trying not to raise liberals. There you go. There's a shirt we all need to get. Fucking liberals. Little things you can do to save the environment. Bike to work. Try meatless Mondays. Guillotine the corrupt corporate class that is poisoning the planet for profit. Recycle. Like, John, do you think it's cringe that Jagmeet played video games online with other leftists to gain support? No. I don't think that's cringe at all. I thought that was, It was politicking, don't get me wrong. It was politicking, for sure. But it's fair game, right? That's fair game. Video games are fair game, right? Like, I think that moment where Jagmeet and AOC had that moment where they played Among Us, I actually think that gained him a lot of support. I think that people really liked that. Even people who are like older and don't play video games, I think they saw it as kind of charming and there was something nice about it. And Jagmeet's really good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too. Interesting. Well, he should do a sweep or something and try to take the leg or whatever. Gotta face this turban issue, dude. It is the issue. Like, it is the issue for him now. Yeah, capitalists. This comes from the millennial snowflake. I'll immediately read the millennial snowflake stuff. They're on the money all the time. Capitalists. Capitalism works because it offers incentives and rewards hard work. Also capitalists. Stop expecting to get paid for your time. This article from the Entrepreneur, right? We should actually find it. Entrepreneur. Stop expecting. Yep. Like, this came out like yesterday. How much your time is worth. An I don't work for free mindset could actually be doing you more harm than good. By Nick Gilmore, who's obviously not a total shithead. How many times in the last week or month have you chosen not to do something because you just don't feel like it? If you look back, you might not be able to count the times you chose to sleep or binge a Netflix show. You know, all the times you chose to do nothing over making positive use of your time. Positive use of your time is called selling yourself to the capitalist death cult, right? That's how they get you with these language games, right? Like that positive use of your time is selling yourself to the capitalist death cult. We just don't have enough time, right? Or are we just not intentional with our time? What does being intentional with our time mean? I ask a question that I'm gonna answer because I'm super smart. Some days can feel short. We've woken up, done a bit of work, and it's somehow time for bed again. Other days it can feel like we got so much done and we're pumped for the rest of the week. Likely this is because we woke up that morning and chose to be effective with our time. Being successful doesn't just mean getting lucky, except it explicitly does. It means that you just made an active decision to not let your time be wasted and instead use it intentionally to make your goals a reality. So, like, literally the most delusional shit that a person can say out loud, right? Being successful doesn't just mean getting lucky. It explicitly does. We are randomly generated into the world. Some people are randomly generated as one-legged, one-eyed person. And some people are randomly generated as the son of a billionaire. If you cannot put this together, if you cannot put together that reality exists and that you are at the whims of reality, then you are deluded. You are deluded. And then it doesn't mean getting lucky, so it's already... It means that you made an active decision to not let your time be wasted and instead used it intentionally to make your goals a reality. So this is like be the author of your own fate shit, right? This is like literal neo-Nazi talking points about how, oh, sure, the entire force of reality doesn't matter. What matters is you, right? This is literally like a grain of sand on the bottom of the ocean shore, taking credit for where it goes. Like it's totally out of touch and out of step with reality completely. And guess what? This guy is being paid like $100,000 a year from the entrepreneur in order to vomit out this garbage. And it is garbage. It's just total trash. If you genuinely believed this, you would be a nightmare psychopath, like at best. A lot of entrepreneurs and people in everyday life don't focus their times on the right things, like selling themselves to the capitalist death cult. Being more intentional with your time is a good way to achieve whatever type of success you're looking for. Be it success in fitness, business, and everything else can just go in the bin, basically, right? So fitness, get cut and swole, bro, do you even lift? Business, sell yourself to the capitalist death cult, or anything else, right? Which they don't care about at all. They don't care about art or music or like any of that, like religion, studying, any of that. That's not. I'm not saying you can't indulge in that Netflix binge, but you need to set limits and guidelines for when you're going to relax and how much time you need to relax in order to best use. It is self-parody, dude. It's self-parody, right? Invest time in yourself. This is just Petersonian garbage, right? This whole article has just been Petersonian garbage, right? That like, this is a restatement of authoring your own fate, right? It means to make an active decision to not let your time be wasted and instead use it intentionally to make your goals a reality. Like, it's just author your own fate. Forget about reality. Like, reality doesn't assert itself ever, and it doesn't matter, right? You can just deny the existence of reality all you want, as long as you're authoring your own fate, right? And then, and of course, notice how he's not actually talking about, like, what is the right thing? Like, what is that? What is this right thing that he's talking about? Well, if you do the right thing like he did the right thing, it means subserviating yourself to the death cult to regurgitate this nonsense, right? Being more intentional with your time is a good way to achieve whatever type of success you're looking for. Ugh. You see a lot of people spending time on social media and focusing on what people should or shouldn't do. This is explicitly talking about the Marxist-Leninists who are saying, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't destroy the planet. Maybe we shouldn't destroy things, right? Everyone on social media has his or her opinion, and each person has the right to it. But sometimes can become very overwhelming and time-consuming. Yeah, it's time-consuming fighting against the capitalist death cult, bud. It's time-consuming to fight against the capitalist death cult. It takes effort. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time because the capitalist death cult hires deluded morons like you to vomit out garbage articles like this that are trying to convince us to, instead of fighting against the death cult, to buy in. Finally created a dummy YouTube account. This is me, Nico. Hey, Nico, how you doing? But sorry about the technical difficulties, bud. I'm so sorry about that. That's so annoying. I got to find a better system than Zoom. I'm having nothing but trouble with Zoom in this regard. I think I might try the Discord. Do you have access to Discord, bud? Take the COVID-19 vaccine, for example. People are constantly providing their reasoning for why you should or shouldn't take it. It's very important that you just focus time and efforts on yourself. What? That's like the most nonsensical connection ever. Take the COVID-19 vaccine, for example. People are constantly providing their reason for why you should or shouldn't take it. It's very important that you just focus your time and efforts on yourself. Like, literally, he's just saying, shut the fuck up. Right? Literally, he's just saying, shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear it anymore. We're so tired of listening to you Marxist-Leninists accurately critique the capitalist death cult. Right? Just shut the fuck up about it already. Make sure to make the right investments as yourself as you would with your money. Because remember, money is real and money is important. The only thing that matters is money. This thing that doesn't actually exist. When you invest your money into mutual funds and real estate, it's like investing in reading a book or working out. But investing in a used speedboat is like blowing your time on social media. When we really maximize the use of our time, we set ourselves up for success. In the long term, that correlation between investing your time to yourself and investing your money will have a bet. How much time do we really have? People come to me complaining about not having the time in a day. They ask me how to find the time. What I do, my time is intentional. And if I don't have enough time, I create more time. I wake up an hour earlier or go to bed an hour earlier. Or later. The extra hour a day is 360. This guy's a psychopath. This guy's like literally like, he goes to sleep like this while standing up, right? He's standing up and then like 2 hours before his alarm goes off, he just goes, and like floats into the day, right? Like, yeah, bud, oh, you need extra time? Just sleep less, right? If I don't have enough time, I create more time. I just sleep less, right? Make sure you invest in yourself. Don't sleep. Sell yourself to the capitalist death cult. Jesus fucking Christ. So the next time you think you don't have enough time to do what it is you want to get done, go back and look at what it is you did over the past few days. Did you let yourself sleep in? Did you watch a couple extra episodes of Grey's Anatomy? Did you scroll through TikTok for hours? It's a good idea to keep a schedule on your phone with a good old-fashioned day planner. Until you've gotten good at intentionally using your time without the need for a daily budget. Decide every day what you're going to do with each hour from wake up to bedtime. This is madness what this guy is talking about. Can I tell you? This is literally psychotic. He is telling you to intentionally schedule every minute of your day. It's the death of imagination. It's the death of your internal spirit. It's the death of being a human and being alive in the universe, right? To actively schedule each and every moment of your day is literally saying subserviate yourself to the capitalist death cult entirely. That you can never have thoughts that are your own. You can never have thoughts that are without the capitalist death cult. This entire article is literally just capitalist Stockholm Syndrome in huge, huge ways. Certainly, people must be wasting their time on Netflix and TikTok instead of attempting to recuperate from having their ass kicked by this capitalist death cult, right? That, it's just that someone is sitting there just going like, I'm wasting time, right? Instead of literally attempting to recover from the ass pounding that the capitalist death cult gives everybody, right? Like, this guy has never worked in his life. That his entire job, everything he's ever done, has just been sucking the cock of capitalists. And that's what this is. No one is going to show up while you're relaxing on the couch or putting off writing that novel and tell you to get to work. Jesus fucking Christ. You need to parent yourself and get yourself moving. If you need to treat yourself like a child who needs a physical push to get going, then do it. Hold yourself accountable. Says the guy who says skip sleep and schedule every moment of your life. Like, this guy's a vampire, right? Like, this guy's a psycho vampire. Like, literally just like, yes, this moment I will go and do this, and then I will go and do this, and then I will suck the blood of the innocent, and then I will go and do this. Like, this sounds manic. This sounds like a manic mental disorder that this guy is talking about. Stop expecting to get paid for your time. You're a fucking psychopath, bro. Like, you're a psychopath. Pretty black and white. Pretty fucking black and white. There are many of us who just can't separate the idea that if we are working, we should be getting paid. Yeah, big fucking surprise on that, eh? We think that if we are using our time to do something, there should be some form of monetary reward. That's literally the system that we live in, bro. Like, that's literally the system of capitalism. That was always the argument, right? There are like colloquialisms that talk about this, right? That if you can do something good, you shouldn't do it for free, right? We often hear ourselves doing things like, I'm not doing that for free, but we're not looking at what we're actually learning or the skills we're gaining from the use of our time. This mindset is that our time should always be exchanged for money needs to go, serfs. When you start thinking that your time should be exchanged for other things like learning new skills or bettering yourselves, this is how they sucker people into getting internships. This is how they sucker people into giving away free time. Like, they sucker artists into doing stuff for exposure and all this shit, right? But you're learning a new skill and you're getting a better life, right? Realize that there's huge value in our time. There will always something more to learn. Understand that value extends beyond money. Oh, interesting. So now value extends beyond money, right? Before it's about building a life with money. Now it's extending beyond money. You'll start using your time more intentionally without even thinking about it because you've sacrificed your intellectual ability to the death cult. Because the advantages and successes you begin to appear in your life will propel you forward. Jesus Christ. Like, Jesus Christ. This guy's a nightmare. This guy's a nightmare. I would never work for him. I would tell anybody to stay away from this guy. This guy is a fucking ghoul. This guy is a fucking ghoul who will absolutely, like, grab a hold of you, suck out all your blood, and throw you onto the side of the street and just keep walking as if he didn't do it. Like, he looks like a fucking nightmare. Like, look at this guy. This is the picture that he wants us all to see. Like, this guy's a fucking ghoul. Like, look at this fucking ghoul. Right? Like, he's just fucking dead-eyed. Look at the bags under his eyes because he isn't sleeping. Right? Like, he's literally looking at us, trying to convince us to pay attention to this guy. And he's like, oh yeah, and it was about getting beyond, right? Remember when he said it was about getting beyond money? Literally, his podcast name is called Cash Rules. This guy's a fucking loser. This guy's an enormous fucking loser. Right? Who literally thinks that he's worth a goddamn because he's really good at exploiting workers. That's it. This guy's a fucking ghoul. Walking around, and I can't believe this article gets published. Right? What a good way to discredit your entire organization. Right? I know I'm never going to read an article from this and think like, yeah, here's a group of reasonable, rational people. This is where the deluded psychopaths publish shit. Like, let's see if Rosie, the virtual influencer who seeks to make millionaire profits. Without being flesh and blood, the South Korean digital influencer has achieved 100 endorsements and expects to profit almost $1 million. So, like, literally the first story I picked off is like an insane story about how a literal digital robot made millions in profits from the readers of this fucking thing who are fucking clearly psychopaths. Oh my God. Oh. Yeah, I mean, let's get back to slavery, damn it. I mean, we're already in it, but you get what I mean. Yeah, just more slavery, right? You know what? This whole slavery thing would actually be a lot easier if you guys just volunteered for it. Like, that's literally what his article might as well have said, right? Like, hey guys, instead, stop expecting to get paid for your time. The name of the article should have been like, slavery will be better when you just accept it, right? Accept your enslavement, serfs. Like, and no wonder Reddit's having a field day with it. They fucking should. Like, this is fucking brutal, dude. That article that I just read there, like, I literally felt like a demon inside of myself have to get put in a cage. That the angels inside of me are like, okay, Mr. Sociopath Demon Man, into the cage, right? Like, Jesus Christ. Ugh. Yeah, average home price in Canada forecast to reach $680K, up 20% from last year. Yeah, capitalism's a failed system. Commodifying housing is a failed way to do it. It's really obvious to anyone who has a brain in their head, and that the problem ultimately is that there are billionaires. Like, to me, this is very straightforward. World-renowned body language expert breaks down the federal leaders' debate performances. Find Justin Trudeau very seductive. I gotta tell you, that's actually kind of accurate. I think that Justin Trudeau is fairly seductive, right? That's like a large part of his success. Like, look at him. Look at him. He's very like, it's because of his drama background. It's his drama background. He's like a noodle. He's like wiggly, right? He's kind of got like a wiggliness about him, right? And his hair is so like floofy, and like he keeps like, and he talks with his hands very much. Very like, hello, Canada. I'm Justin Trudeau. Vote for me. Seductive. That's funny, dude, that they're talking about that shit. That's hilarious. How to tell that capitalists don't want to talk about real shit. Let's get a body expert on and talk about how Justin Trudeau is sexy, right? We don't want to talk about the housing market and how the politicians don't have any solutions. Let's just talk about how sexy Justin is. Let's just talk about it. How long was that? Like literally 6 minutes so that they could get an expert talking about how sexy Justin is. Yes, Justin Trudeau, we've discovered, is scientifically sexy. Oh, yeah. Justin Trudeau's dumb, but he's smart enough to know who his friends are. Yeah, check, like this kind of shit, right? Turn customers into fanatics, products into obsessions, employees into ambassadors, and brands into religions. It's explicit. They're explicitly saying it, right? I remember like 15, 20 years ago, I started telling people that brands are religions, right? That like, think about a shoe like Nike, right? Nike is a really good one because it's about as close as it can get. Nike is the ancient Greek goddess of victory. Like, she's the goddess of sport. Nike, right? And so the gods didn't go away. They just rebranded into brands. And the process of going and paying homage to the goddess Nike in the ancient Greek world is exactly the same as the process of going and paying homage to the god, the modern version, right? That instead of being like a woman with a spear and a like thing, she's now this abstract sort of swoop, right? It's the same fucking thing. You go into the place, you buy your little token, a piece of clothing that's got the mark on it, right? You put it on and now you are an acolyte of Nike, right? You've been branded. And now it's being done explicitly. Now the guys are saying like, oh, that's an effective way to sell a lot of shit. Yeah, exactly. Why find a cure to cancer when we can invent shoes with lights in them instead? When I was a kid, dude, I was so hyped for shoes with lights in them that I actually said that a pair of shoes fit when they didn't. They were too small for me, but I wanted them because they had lights in them. And I was so excited by this. And then I spent the rest of the school year walking around with them like untied and shit because they were too small. I actually emailed you that article. Yeah, I put that up already, bud. I already put that up. Thank you for that. Put that up. Because, like, the organization will target firefighter and police next. Oh, man. These guys need to shut the fuck up. They need to shut the fuck right up. Okay, Nico, I'm going to send you some stuff. I'm going to see if we can get a Discord thing, because I think Discord we can connect a lot easier. And you don't need to, we don't need to see you anyway, so that'll be fine. Okay, guys, this is the end of this one today. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Always remember, never forget, you are a divine being, standing within divine energy. These billionaires spend billions of dollars to convince you otherwise. Don't let them. Good luck. We're going to need it.